Okay. Good evening, everyone. The Irvington Planning Board, January 7th, 2026, not 25. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope it's a good year for everyone. Right, this evening we have Sarah Palermo on the gatekeeper, Zoom, and Mary, the building inspector. Marianne Stessich is the village attorney. Doug Hahn is the village consultant engineer. Laurie Davidowitz is on the board. Dan, I almost called you Bill. Dan McGillicuddy is on the board. I'm Cesar Manfredi, the chairman. Mike Smith and Mike Bafuco is either going to Zoom for the first hour or he'll be here later. He has something to attend to. All right. Before I get into the agenda, I might want to make note that at the end of this agenda items, we had two letters from the mayor and trustees to discuss and offer an opinion, if any, a report on some zoning amendments. One relating to Cosmopolitan Building at 50 South Buckout Street, and the other zoning amendment pertaining to definitions in the code. Okay, number one for tonight. It's 2025, and it's actually -19. The printed version had -18, but it's 2025-19. That's 80 Harriman Road. Oh, the minutes. I had so much to say, I forgot the minutes. All right, Marianne, everything's good with the minutes?
Yes.
The minutes of December 3rd, 2025, last year. I make a motion to approve the minutes. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Sarah, is Mike Bafuco on?
No.
Okay, now we proceed with the agenda. Number one, 2025-19, 80 Harriman Road.
Point out that Mike Smith's recused on this, I think.
Right. Mike, you're recused on this one. Yeah.
Okay, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can, but we don't see anything.
Yeah, I wonder why. Let's see. Cameras, oh, hold on, coming.
There we go.
Okay, here we go.
We see you, but we don't need to see you. We like to see the plans.
Okay, no problem. Here we go.
First, identify yourself, please.
Okay, good evening. My name is John Yanacito. I'm an architect and I'm representing the owners of 80 Harriman. So we were this application was presented to this board back in June 4th of 2025 for a preliminary review. The scope of work is an expansion of an existing patio at the rear of the property, which is highlighted here in red. That's the expansion area. And then the reconstruction of a couple of retaining walls, which are highlighted in black here. After the initial meeting with the planning board, we did appear before the zoning board on July 22nd, 2005, and a variance was granted for the total coverage. And then between the months of August and December of 2025, we prepared drawings and documents for responses to the memo from Hahn Engineering. We had the surveyor go out to the site and locate the water course within 100 feet of the subject property, and he added it to the survey. So this is the survey. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
And he added the creek here, which is across the street, on the other side of Harriman, and then runs under Harriman Road and back over to this side. We also had a civil engineer prepare stormwater management plan, which is here, showing a new dry well for the increased patio area, which has a sump pump, and the water would get pumped to this dry well. And he also prepared responses to the items listed in Article 25 of the Village Code for the freshwater wetlands approval. And then we received a second memo from Han Engineering yesterday with a couple of additional minor comments, which we will address. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Ed, from my notes, it sounds like they did what they needed to do. They
Yes, they did.
filed for the wetlands and the drainage and the pipe work, all done. And they got their thing.
Doug has just a few comments, not a big deal. Doug had a few comments, not a big deal.
They're in his memo.
They're in his memo.
Subject to.
A big deal.
Sarah, is Doug on the line?
Not yet.
Mary, I think we're okay. Mary, you have a resolution for this?
Anybody from the public?
Sarah, anybody in the public?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak, and there are no comments in the chat.
Whereas in June 2025, Brian Shalati applied for site development plan approval to extend a patio and replace retaining walls on his property at 80 Harriman Road, which the proposed improvements require a coverage variance from the zoning board of appeals, which was granted on July 22nd, 2025. Proposed construction activities are within 100 feet of a wetland, therefore requiring a freshwater wetlands permit. Han Engineering reviewed the plans and in a memorandum dated June 3rd, 2025, identified a number of issues which was mostly addressed in a subsequent submission. Whereas Han reviewed the applicant's application for a freshwater wetlands permit and in a memorandum dated January 5th, 2026, found that the application complies with the requirements for such permit. Planning Board held a public hearing on the application on June 4th, 2025, and tonight. And it's a type 2 action under SECRA and therefore requires no environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Board grants the application for a freshwater wetlands permit along with site development plan approval for the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Shalati Residence Site Alterations prepared by John Yanacito, and the proposed drainage and erosion control plan, Shalati Residence, prepared by Benedict Salinitro, subject to complying with the items in Han's January 5th, 2026 memorandum.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Do we have a, I make a motion to approve the resolution as written, as spoken?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the approval has two blanks for Mike Fugo and Mike Smith. Mike Fugo is not here, and Mike Smith is recused. Sometimes when there's blanks, some people might think it was a no vote, but that's not the case. Okay, thank you very much. Well done. You answered the questions on time, and thank you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
job.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope so.
Bye.
Number 2, 2025-29, 3 Langdon Avenue.
Good evening. How are you? This is Michael Picarello, architect,
Good evening.
MAP Architects, representing my clients at 3 Langdon. I was before you last time, I was a month and a half ago, I believe, with a plan to, we're proposing an addition, a single-story addition to the house, existing house. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So we had received comments from Han Engineering. We responded to most of those comments, I believe. There's a couple of they sent another memo over, a couple of outstanding comments, some of which we could address before we go to zoning or before we go to the building department, like some deck details, some lighting comments. There's also a comment on there about trying to discover where the existing house drainage goes. I spoke with the client. The client does not know where they go. Currently, the existing leaders do go underground. So we would tie into those same leaders, and in theory, the stormwater would be taken care of by the existing system. The house addition also requires two variances for front yard setbacks. One of both of them, the house sits in existing non-conforming with the front yard. So we are doing a single-story addition to the front of the house, which requires two variances, one for the addition portion and one for the deck and pergola portion. We also need a coverage variance. The existing home is well over the allowable of 12%. We're at 13.98%. And because there's some patio work that was done, there's a gravel fire pit that was done, there's some other site amenities that were done prior to my client purchasing the home, which have never been documented in town. So those are, we're calling those proposed, even though they've been there for a while, but those will also be counted towards my coverage. So my new coverage is about 25% or so. So that also requires a variance.
Okay,
We provided a study of some of the neighboring houses showing their coverage. Most of all but one of them are also over their coverage. A lot of them are pretty close to our proposed coverage. Now we used the public GIS maps to determine coverage based on house size and obviously the lot size. Certainly not as exact as it would be if we had actual surveys of the actual properties. So my guess is all of the percentages that we're showing on our chart are sort of undervalued because just like my client's property, if you look at the GIS maps, does not show all of the impervious surfaces as our survey does. So.
could you bring up that chart, please?
Sure.
You blow it up, it's hard to see.
Sure.
There you go. Now, explain to me, you articulated that you're 25% over. And on the right-hand side of that column, you got 198%.
Correct.
Does that mean that 100% is allowable and the 98% is over allowable?
Correct.
Why did you say 25% over?
Oh, on my chart?
Now, you in your presentation, you said 25%. Trying to make sure we're all on the same page with the numbers.
Yeah, again, my chart is looking, this is a different calculation. This is percent of allowed.
All right, but it
So,
does get confusing when you use a small number when it's really a big number.
Well, this is on the chart that was as an example that was given to me. This example is a percent of allowed versus looking at the in comparison to how the code is written, where the code requires 12%, and our coverage is essentially double or 200%. So we're at 0.33%. So it's just it's semantics on how you look at the number, because again, depending on how you look at the number, the allowable is 1,411 square feet. The proposed is 2,802. Essentially, it's double the amount. Well, on my zoning table, it shows it as 12% and 25%, essentially double the amount. So it's semantics on how you basically look at those numbers.
All right, so that using the chart that's in front of us, the 98% 0.53 over allowable. And
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, there's more.
That doesn't include.
That doesn't include some other coverage.
It wasn't clear if the gravel pit was included in your coverage calculation. It didn't show it broken down.
Yes, I did include it in the coverage because my coverage went up.
Yeah,
So if you could do a breakdown so that we make sure that we identify each, it says in our chart that you need to provide a breakdown and show us where all the coverages are, whether you do it by labeling the items or doing a separate
Okay.
drawing. You're gonna have to deal with the drainage because you're legalizing the coverage of the patios as well.
Well, we'll have to deal with that with a site engineer doing stormwater management because
Right, so you'll have to, this board can't approve it until we see something.
I can't move to the zoning board until I get, but what if I don't get a zoning variance?
We understand that. So what we're saying is, we're not sure of your coverage because you didn't provide the breakdown that's required. We need that breakdown.
Okay,
Also, what we can do, when we're ready to say you can go to the ZBA, you can come back, like you said, if you don't get it, you wasted your money on the drainage. So we recognize that. So after the ZBA approves it, it gets there, then you can do the drainage and come back to us with the drainage. However,
Yeah.
when you look at your chart, the 198, it's the highest number in the block. And I don't know about the rest of the members of the store, but that's creating a new high mark for the next guy.
well, again, just
Let me get the
remember,
rest of let me get the rest of the board's thoughts on that. Lori, I should have come back to you before your
It's
application.
okay. I agree with you. and-
Or you have to speak to the
All right, sorry. I agree with you, Caesar, and I think it would be helpful to see the numbers broken down a little bit more clearly.
It does stand out dramatically.
Mike,
Dan?
It does stand out dramatically.
Mike,
I agree, and I think that when you provide the breakdown for the gravel, there'll be an easy solution.
yeah, the actual proposal of what you really want to do is make the house a little bigger is relatively minor, but you got all this undocumented patio that eats up your coverage. And like, we seem to agree that creating a new high bar or low bar, bigger than anything else, is not the purpose of the chart. We don't want to create a new high number.
well, as I said when I opened with my statement, is that if these numbers are taken from a Westchester County or a public GIS map. These numbers aren't taken from actual surveys as our calculations are. So I believe with certainty that all of these numbers for all the neighbors are undervalued.
Well,
So
all
there's no there's-
all the charts that we see are done very under similar circumstances. Isn't that mostly how it's done?
No, that's how it's done. If you were to break down yours, it goes by heated square footage, so even the houses aren't done correctly. But if you're
I mean,
telling us they're undervalued, then you haven't done a service to your client and you haven't represented the application well.
Well,
We need,
there's no way for me to get actual surveys of every single neighbor without asking them to do up-to-date surveys for all their properties. So
We
that's not-
agree.
but the chairman is saying that you're the high bar
Yeah,
by 198%, and the next highest is 181. If you were to look at it in a different method, say it was in the 10,000 square foot zone, being 10% over in the 10,000 square foot zone would be a legitimate number, but you're more like 15% over if you were to look at it in a I of 10 zone because of the lot size.
you know,
So
it's
what you're
it's a
asking for-
non-conforming-
You're
Yeah, no,
interrupting me. You're interrupting me. Let me
Sorry.
finish. So your application, if you were to take it as proportional, is still 15% over allowable, which is a tough variance to seek. And it's also tough for this board to approve. Now I'm finished.
I think you have to look at the size of that patio.
Okay,
Without sending them away what's another question that I have written down here. The FAR numbers were not okay, or did?
No, they're okay.
They're okay now?
They're okay.
It was okay, but the numbers were a little,
It's fine.
So,
and there was another tree that needed to be, there's a big tree right out in front, but take a look at the landscape architect point. But there's another tree, on one of this, I forget if it's the east side or west, I think it's the west side of the house, that needs protection. Okay,
but that tree is nowhere near my site, but fine.
Well,
I'll do whatever
there was
they
a,
ask us to do.
in addition to the big tree in the front, Suzanne Nolan indicated there was another tree. Now, I could be wrong about the tree that's,
I have-
like you said, it's pretty
yeah.
far away, but
I have the photograph up on the screen. There's a small little tree to, essentially, just east of the house. We could certainly protect it. That's not a problem.
Okay.
My clients authorized me to remove the gravel fire pit if it's an issue. That gravel fire pit is 149 square feet. That would certainly
Yeah.
go a
That would
long
help.
way
yes,
to getting this down and to
Yes.
try to get this project, sort of moved forward a little bit.
yes.
But that we could definitely look at removing that gravel pit. And I can remove enough square footage to make our new addition a net zero, but I'm still going to be over because the existing house was already over by quite a bit. So
But it's you're setting a new high bar. You got to bring it down to one of the other higher numbers. Just,
I had made a phone call on Monday to your office. No one called me back. We could have discussed this. You can give me a call Monday as well, and we can go over it again. if you
I
like.
apologize. I was not here on
So
Monday.
you can give me a call next week, and we can go over it again if you like.
Okay.
now, you're sure the gravel is in that 198% currently?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
So if you want to make it, so you're not losing any time. If you want to button up your numbers, do the breakdown, and email it to me. I'll look at it Monday.
Okay.
All right.
I'll show the gravel pit removed.
Yes, and the numbers so that we can.
Of course.
we can-
Of course. Should I show the gravel pit removed as a existing removed, or should I show the gravel pit removed as simply just don't include it in my new numbers?
I'm looking to tell the board that it's within the 10% of, if it was an IF10 zone, that it's within 10%. That's what I'm looking to figure out. So
Okay.
once you take the gravel out, you subtract that. If that number is still 13%, you're gonna have to take a little patio out.
okay.
If I hold on, can I clarify that if you're saying that you need to get my coverage down to 13% over?
Over.
I mean, sorry, 13%
In
total?
an IF10 zone. We'll go over it over the phone. I wanted to talk to you about it because it's not something we can just do in the public over speaker.
Okay.
All right. Do the drawing how you wish. Get the numbers buttoned up. Show me the breakdown on Monday. Email it whenever it's done, and I'll give you a call on Monday or Tuesday, and we'll go over it and see where you land.
Okay.
Okay.
Michael, this is Doug Hahn. Copy me as well, please.
Sure.
The voice you heard come in is Doug Hahn, the village consultant.
Okay. Sorry I'm late.
Okay.
All right.
All right. All clear? See you next time.
Okay.
Thank you. The next one is 2026-01. 71 Havemeyer Road. This is like the first baby of the year. 01. Anybody here for 71 Havemeyer?
This is Gotham Design.
1 second before we get to Sarah, was there any public on Free Langdon?
No.
Nobody reminded me.
Sorry. I know Sarah also. Now you're on mute.
So can you hear me or see me?
Can hear
We
you,
can hear
can't
you.
see you.
Interesting.
Can you talk away from the mic a little bit?
I was too loud?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think this thing's working very good. How about now?
Yeah, we see you.
Okay.
Still too loud. You're echoing.
Don't know why.
Stand in the back of the room and try.
Just back up a bit. There you go.
Actually, it's fine.
It's hard for me to reach the board if I'm back there.
Patty, you are echoing when you're that close to them.
You want to skip and go to the next one, and I'll try to fix that in the meantime?
There is the next one.
Okay.
Patty, you need to identify yourself.
Patty Steinschneider, principal of Gotham Design, working for.
Patty, you're leaning into the mic. Talk. Just back up a little bit.
It's literally echoing in the room, Patty. We can't understand.
I understand. I think there's something wrong with the mic, and I was.
That's better. That's better.
It is better.
Now let's start all over again. Identify yourself.
Okay. So
You have to read it?
Steinschneider, principal of Gotham Design. Planning 71 Havermeyer Road, the property of Jim and Kate, Catherine Dunham, who have owned the house since 2015. I think you might remember it. Some of you guys have been on the board for a while. This was a house that we did some significant renovations of back in 2015. They have decided that they're moving to somewhere else. They've put the house on the market. They've got a purchaser who's interested in buying the house. We've signed a contract. They are contract vendee, although at this point we're handling this with the Dunhams so that it keeps it kind of clean until such time as we get all the approvals. We've obviously submitted a fairly large submission of stuff. I don't know that you need us to really go over it in detail at this point. I did get Doug's letter today, I think it was today, which identifies a major concern with what the coverage is. Our understanding was that the coverage was 3.5% over, but we weren't including the parking areas, some of which, are you there?
We're here.
Yeah. I know this thing is not doing good. Let's see. Hold on just a second, please. Okay. So we got Doug's letter. We've gone over it. The parking areas push us much higher than 3.5. The number that Doug has in the letter is 15%. I'm concerned it might even be a little bit higher than that with an accurate takeoff on the survey. So we know we're going to have to get that down. We're going to take a look, obviously, at reducing the parking on the site. Some of which is existing. In fact, all of it's existing with the exception of one area that we showed, which I can show you in a site plan in a minute. But we're also interested in finding out whether there's anything we could do with the root cellar to have that not count, since that's an underground structure, and stone walls that we might not need that are existing. All that I'd rather kind of review with Mr. Marin at some point between now and the next meeting. I don't think it's a discussion we need to have here. But I'd like to walk you through the project if I can to show you what we're proposing to do. Can I share?
Sure.
Okay, and I think you are seeing that. Now I just have to make this go on. And let's see. And say slideshow and from the beginning. So what we're proposing to do is to add a addition on the west side of the house that would provide a new master bedroom suite, as well as some usable basement area. It's effectively a split level. It has approximately 1,209 square feet. a footprint. So it's not the major problem with our coverage. What I'm showing right now is where this property sits over off of Harriman Road. It's one of those properties that's back in behind other houses. It's quite a kind of special spot because it's like a hollow that's down behind the other ones with a great view of the country club and the golf course, which it borders. Here's how it looks with trees around it. That center area is a large open lawn that it has benefits of providing us with a natural drainage area, although we are proposing a fairly extensive drainage system. Here's kind of going into a little bit better, closer up detail. Here's the property. You can see that large driveway wrapping around where cars currently park. That's included in that coverage increase that puts us up to 15%. Some quick photos, just in case you haven't seen the house for a while. This is the existing conditions of the site. Again, in that upper right is that parking area, one of those parking areas. So here's kind of getting a sense. There's up in that upper right is the root cellar, which is an interesting structure, below ground, but if that counts in it, that's a major. That's 600 and something square feet. Here's the large front lawn with the kind of almost like a natural basin. That lower left hand, you're looking through the woods at the country club. Just more photos. It's the backyard. It's got some interesting walls on the property that we'd like to keep. But these contribute actually 1,100 square feet of coverage. It was just in the stone walls. More stone walls. This actually, I should go back there. We're showing some trees here. These are the 3 trees that are in the area that we want to preserve. There is one tree that we're talking about taking down that's significant, which is in the backyard, which we understand we have to work that out with the landscaping and make sure that we're doing it right. So I don't want to go through this stuff because it's not what we need to talk about. This is all in your packet, the existing conditions, what we're planning to do with the site plan, basically showing the addition on the west side. It's really hard to work this from my distance. This is the addition on the west side of the existing building, the grade tone. These parking areas, this one in front here, that's what we were proposing as new. That reworks some existing stone wall. There's parking currently down here, which wasn't included in the coverage. And then there's like a strip along here where the driveway widens out that provides parking, which we hadn't included before. So all that needs to be addressed, which we're realizing we will do. We have a lot coverage table on our plan that we have that's going in the direction that Doug suggested, which is using the same terminology as on the form, the allowable surface coverage form. So we'll make sure that ours matches that, so you're not trying to go back and forth between things. Here's a blow up of the site plan of the house. This shows the addition to the side. We're creating a new entrance coming in between the addition and the existing house. Again, the parking area, the existing brick wall and kind of garden that's to the side, which is nice. We have to redo some stone walls behind to handle the topography that's coming down in that area, and that's a need for a good drainage system for sure. So I'm not going to go into that because it's going to change. Same thing with the lot coverage areas. This is where we updated stuff. Damn, this thing is really hard to do. I apologize for that. Okay, so floor area calculations, I think we're in good shape. We're at 0.72 when we're allowed 0.125. So I don't think there's any issue with that. And that's including the basement of the addition 100%, because that can be finished space. We have windows above grade. This is our protection plan. There are a couple of things on here that have to be revised that we got from the letter. Our drainage plan, which I think is robust, probably more than it will need to be once we confirm new perk tests. We had perk tests done in 2015 that I think just sound unrealistic. So I don't know if the methods have changed, but I know that what we're seeing these days are not numbers like 2 inches, an hour. It's more like, a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch an hour. So we want to get those, but we wanted to kind of get started with this before, because if it changes, we'd have to make changes then. We don't need to look at these because I already showed you those photos. Here's the basement plan. You see the addition to the left of the existing house, first floor of the addition, which is a half flight up from the first floor. The addition includes a sitting room, a bedroom, a good closet, and full private master bath. Nothing else really being done with the house, with the exception of updating the powder room. This is showing the staircase that comes up to the roof above the entrance that separates between the two buildings, so you'd have a nice place to go up and kind of enjoy the view out over everything. It doesn't add to the height. It fits into what we're doing, and we're fine with our heights and all our dimension. As this property is so large, we're hundreds of feet from the side yards and things like that. So I think that's not going to be our problem. Here are the elevations. Front elevation, south elevation. You see to the right is the existing, to the left is what we're proposing to add. We're using the same form that we added to the original house, which is the right-hand gable. We're doing that on the left, so it kind of bookends it. I think it gives it a nice, interesting feel. There's 2 pitches on the existing house, a steep pitch and a kind of more traditional, say 7 and 12. We're using both pitches on the addition so that it fits in with how this works. Here's the addition, showing it from the back. And then just some images of what the house would look like. This looks like we actually built an old chipboard model, but this is just how they did the rendering, which I think is kind of interesting. Again, the main house is on the right, the addition is on the left, the entrance between, creating that space, which I think is kind of fun. This showing it in a little bit more detail. Then kind of going back angle on the house, the end of the house with the steep roofs that relates in with the existing, kind of the back view of it, and then seeing it from further back. And I think that one more, just showing how that deck kind of works off of the way the stairs come up and give you access to the flat roof. But that is what I have to show. If there's anything you want to say, ask me to show you again, let me know. Otherwise, I'll stop sharing.
Okay, thank you very much. A very nice presentation of what it would look like. Thank you. That nice presentation of what it would look like.
Thank you. I wish my machine was working better. It throws me off. I can't talk as much, Caesar, when my machine's not working.
Well, I won't comment on the.
I know you're coming when you don't fix it. So,
you got to pay attention to the trees. Suzanne wrote something.
Yeah.
And one of the things is, I think Doug asked the dry well locations versus existing utilities.
Right.
You need to show where they are, so you're not putting the dry well, the stormwater system on top of.
Absolutely.
And there was something else. Tree protection, drip line, the drip line of the trees. And you talked about taking a tree down, so you got to work with Suzanne on potential replacement trees.
Yep.
You know that. And you got to fix the coverage, as you well know. That parking areas count as coverage.
Yeah.
Before. Ed, do we have anything else on this?
Coverage.
Doug, you have anything on it? You have a long list of a couple of pages. Anything specific, Doug?
I just had a question. Is there is this public sewer? Is this a septic? And what's going on with the well? Is there a well or is it water?
Public sewer.
Both?
You broke up public. I think you said public water and public sewer.
That's correct.
Okay, great.
The height. I noticed Ed, the new section is higher than the existing.
It's fine.
Fine. Fine. We talked about the trees. We talked about the coverage. Oh, the root cellar. You got to talk to him offline.
Give me a call first thing in the morning. I'll take care of it.
Will do, sir.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
No, I just wanted to say, yeah, I think the presentation was very helpful. It's a nice design. I hope, and I don't know what'll happen, what Ed's plan is, but I would be all for preserving that root cellar. I think it adds a lot of character, and also any existing stone walls, I'd hate to see them removed for the sake of coverage, because it is a very beautiful property, very expansive, and it'd be a shame to have to bargain those out. So hopefully that can be fixed.
I have no comments.
Yeah, I agree with Laurie. The walls, the retaining walls, they're retaining walls that, from the pictures, they look like they've been there a while. And the property is big, so the only way you can really see it is the street before it, something hollow. What's the street before it?
Yeah, Deep Hollow Road.
Deep Hollow. You go down Deep Hollow Road, you look up, you can see the house. Mike Smith.
I agree with Laurie. I have nothing.
Is Mike Lafuco on? Anybody here in the room that wants to comment on this? Sarah, anybody on Zoom?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak, and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, Patty. I guess we're done for tonight. You know you need to fix up the coverage and the root cellar. And as Laurie said, that would be helpful if it works, whatever needs to be worked out.
I mean, it's 300 and something square feet of coverage other than the parking, which already exists. So we're a little bit limited in, if we don't do something, but I think maybe a lot of that will be resolved. I'm assuming we go to the zoning board on it. And I think we can make a good presentation on the idea of, we don't want to start taking things like stone walls down and eliminate root cellars just because of coverage, unless there's a problem with not being able to accommodate it with drainage, which I don't see with this size property. 115,000 square feet. It's a good sized piece of property.
Yeah. Yes, it is very big. Okay, thank you. You got your homework? Everybody, anything else? Everybody?
Yeah, can I say one more thing, Caesar?
What's that?
I didn't want to say it before, but I want to say, happy anniversary, everybody. Happy New Year. Yeah, I'm not too about that.
Well, I have a birthday coming, but it's about 5 months from now.
Well, so happy New Year.
And it's my 81st birthday.
Well, congratulations.
I made it in spite of this. Okay, Patty, thank you very much.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
I guess we're done with that. Number 4. 2024-18, 76 North Broadway, sometimes called Maxon, sometimes called Farm.
Good evening, Kathy Zelantis from Silverberg Zelantis. For the applicant with me tonight is Peter Gregory from DTS Provident and Rocco Varma from Varma Redevelopment. So just to update this board, we appeared before the Board of Trustees on Monday to discuss the application of the proposed public benefit bonus, and the board indicated that it would consider the construction of additional moderate income unit, one more than required for the moderate income bonus, a public benefit, and they would be willing, of course, subject to SECRA and subject to, of course, a submission of a plan to this board to consider applying that additional coverage allowed under the public benefit bonus. So we plan at the next.
Can I just correct?
Okay.
They actually went a little bit more than saying they would consider it. They would grant. They came out and voted that they would grant the 5% bonus in exchange for the additional moderate income unit, which forces an additional affordable unit. But they couldn't make a final decision because they can't make any decision until SECRA's completed. And you're doing SECRA, so it won't be until you've completed SECRA. Then we'll go back to that. I'll take a formal vote, but they made it clear, and they would have taken the vote that night, except they can't because SECRA's not done.
And the SECRA won't be done
until you guys.
It's
have
some
done it.
interim thing, that we wait to the end to do that.
Right.
If we
So,
get to an end.
so we intend for this board's next meeting to present the 53 unit plan that will have the one additional market rate unit, one additional fair and affordable unit, and one additional moderate income unit, and whatever site changes accompany those changes to the plan. So we thought tonight, however, we can discuss the site capacity because that's not going to change with the new plan.
Yeah, we said last meeting that we were gonna do site capacity so that everybody would know we're gonna do that. But I have to say, you're gonna change and upgrade it for the additional units. I spoke with Ed and he looked at the fire truck access issues. And we've been at this a long time, and it's hard to understand that after whatever number of months we've been at this, that the fire truck access is still around. Ed informed me. Ed, you want to talk about it, or?
We schedule a meeting next week. They've got a detailed list. And it's one list.
Would it change a little bit because of the new units?
There's a lot,
Not much.
that has to be taken into consideration.
There's not much footprint change to the building.
So the building is slightly increasing 3 feet to the north.
Yeah.
So there's very minimal increase in actual building coverage, but there will be changes with respect to the fire access issues on site.
Yeah. All right.
And is it right that because of the additional, if you calculate in the additional 5% coverage, does that get you past a lot of your fire access issues?
To the extent that there were comments about widening certain areas, then yes, there would be available coverage to make those changes.
Well, we should do site capacity.
Yeah. I mean, I asked them to bring, to bring the slide that has the site capacity on it. It's not really changed. Remember, site capacity has nothing to do with the coverage. But there were, why don't you put the sheet up that's got the site capacity? It's not much different than it was originally. Remember that site capacity is just letting you determine what the maximum number of units you can have, maximum number of residential units you can have.
It's a mathematical calculation.
It is, yeah.
There's not much subjectivity to it.
No, but there've been a couple issues raised here that Mr. McCallum raised on the site capacity that I thought we should go through. One of them, wait, where do we get it up? Well, I guess the numbers don't have to be up before I explain each of these things. One is
That southwest corner.
No, that's not, no, what I wanted up was the sheet that's got the numbers on it.
Oh.
Not that one. No, the site capacity, the sheet with the site capacity calculation. It's not on a drawing like that. It's just on a sheet like this.
This chart. And then it was brought
No,
on.
there was one and it had the subtractions, and so I would have brought it myself. I thought you understood what we needed to see. Not these sheets.
This subtracts the wetlands in the.
But this
Not
is a
wetlands,
whole
I'm
lot of
sorry,
stuff.
steep slopes.
Let me, here, I've got it right. This is the sheet I'm looking. It would help all the board.
I don't have that sheet. No, we
Okay.
have what we were using on the plan to establish our base lot.
Speak a little louder, please.
Yeah, we determined based on the, our base site areas, our
Okay.
gross, deducting from that our resource areas, which are steep slopes, 15% slopes.
Yeah, I mean, this, okay,
And we also deducted a portion of the property that was located underneath the pavement on Strawberry Lane, resulting in our net lot area.
okay. There were two pieces of the property that were questioned, should they be deducted from gross site areas? Gross site area is what you start out with before you deduct the resource protections. One of the pieces of land raised were what somebody raised an easement that runs from Broadway to the back of the property. That easement, I got the documents out. That easement is on property to the north. The entire there is a right of way, but it's on the Carafiello property to the north. So the edge of it is the northern part of this property, but it's on the edge of the other property. And there was a time, and I don't know if it's still there. It might still be there. There was a little bit of there was fence marking off this right of way. I don't think it's there anymore on the Carafiello part. There might be a fence there, and a small amount of the fence impinged onto the Maxon property. Well, it might be the Varma property, but that was recognized. I think it was in 1979 when the zoning board was giving a variance to the owners of Maxon at the time. I think the current owners, and it was just a variance saying that they could have more than one commercial tenant on the property. And in the course of saying that, they said, "But we don't want you to get rid of that fence. We want you to leave the fence, even the part that infringes a little bit, but it's not created." They specifically said not to create any easement. So there's no, even if there weren't, even there'd be a couple of feet, but there isn't. So I don't think you have to worry about subtracting that. Then that one other thing that's been raised pretty consistently is at the southwest corner of the property, there's a piece that is, according to Varma, owned by Varma, but it's actually paved, a paved part of Strawberry Lane right now. And Varma's position is, well, all we have to do is take the paving up. It's our property, you know. But even if you subtracted that I think, let's see, it's 375 feet. Even if you subtracted that 375 feet, you still have a base site area of 175,080. And then after you subtract the resource protection features, which is mainly some 25% slopes and some 15% slopes, you come to 145,431 square feet. If when you divide that by the density factor in this district, which is 3,000, you come to the exact same number. Instead of coming to 48.6, you come to 48.5. So it doesn't change anything. So I don't think there's any question. And then the 48.5, you round down to 48 dwelling units. And then because they use the maximum, the moderate income bonus, they could get an extra 10% over that, which brings them to a site capacity of 57. The site capacity is 48, but they get a bonus under the code of 10%. I mean, we're always, rounding down, brings them to 57. So they could have up to 57 units.
And the current with the new addition is 53.
Right.
Okay.
So they've got the site capacity.
Laura, you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Mike?
No questions.
I guess we could. What's the methodology here, Mary? Approve.
I guess you could just vote that
Make a motion to. I will hear somebody briefly here because you had previous letters on the issues that Mary Ann addressed. And unless you have something new beyond what she addressed, please don't, go ahead.
First of all, this
Peter,
is,
can you speak into the microphone really clearly? If you have to take my phone out and hold it up, that's fine too.
it's Peter McCallick, Strawberry Lane. I don't need to remind you that the normal course of business here is that site capacity application is circulated 2 weeks in advance of the meeting as just like site plan approvals. I know that that is not necessarily required by the law. I appreciate that, but that is what this board does every single time. Second, there isn't even an application in front of you. The applicant hasn't even revised the application. So how are you going to approve an application that isn't even filled out yet? And third, as I raised in my email, I think on Friday, there is a new issue, right? If they are going to reuse the existing driveway on Strawberry Lane as a pull-off lane for the fire truck, those existing, the reuse of an existing driveway comes out of the site capacity calculation. And then I have more to say, but that is in brief, the objection. I object to any vote tonight. You are required to give us 24 hours notice for any document that's going to be the subject of a discussion. What kind of games are you playing, sir? 24, that's the open meetings law.
Marianne,
This is the same application that was submitted a year ago. Nothing has been changed.
They are taking out the 368, 42
No, they're
square
not.
feet.
hold it, we're not arguing here. She's speaking now.
And boy, you don't need to scream. We can hear you.
And Marianne, we did announce at the last meeting that we were gonna do this
Yes,
tonight.
and it's the same application that was here all the time, and they have not conceded that they subtract those 375 feet. Their position, and they have a fair position, is that they don't subtract that that's their property. They can take the paving out and plant grass there. My point to you was, even if you did subtract that, they still meet the site capacity.
And-
So it's no new application, it's the same
Right.
application that's been before the board for about a year now.
And I do recollect, at the last meeting saying we were gonna do this tonight. Okay, and it's not like a hairline difference in, site capacity we're talking about is 57, and the units they're proposing is 53. So it's not like the site capacity is 53. Thank you, we have heard you. Thank you, we have heard you. I make a motion to we approve the site capacity at 57 for the Bomber 76 North Broadway. 76. 57. Marianne. You said 57 or 56, Daniel?
What is it, 57?
57.
Yeah, I thought it was 56.
Well, it's 48, but with the moderate income unit bonus, it becomes 57. But wait, there was that other issue that,
If you don't sit down, no.
Can I ask you to say something?
Okay, I make a motion to approve the site capacity at 57 for the 76 North Broadway property known as Varma, known as Maxon. Yeah, the second. All in favor? Okay. All right.
I think it's fair.
Peter, speak clearly into the microphone so we can hear you. Take your time, please speak it clearly.
Thank you very much, and I am sorry for raising my voice earlier. As you know, I spent a little bit of time writing up this issue, and I got no response. None for months. So I think I was just a little startled that things, essentially, my remarks just were not actually being addressed. I think the most important issue, which I have raised repeatedly in emails, but which I have not actually said out loud in the meeting, I don't think is the award of the moderate income bonus. Right? So that is the 9 extra units. You go from 48 to 57 units. That's based on the award of That's so basically for each moderate income unit, you get a market rate unit. I am just wanted to say for the record that I strongly disagree with the way that the applicant is using those numbers to give itself a 5% coverage and FAR bonus. Those are secondary or ancillary enabling bonuses that are only supposed to be awarded as of right if you get the maximum and moderate income units. That's not what's happening here. They are 4 units short of the maximum. And so that's another reason for my objection. And as I said, I just want to remind everyone, I did raise a new issue about the reuse of the existing driveway. You asked the right question, sir, earlier. Does the fire code analysis change site capacity? I believe it does. There is a reuse of the existing driveway for a fire lane that should come out of the site capacity as well. I'm not saying it's going to change the number, but I mean, you are the planning board, all right? You're allowed to be pedantic. We expect you to do that. Thank you very much.
We'll wait to see what they draw before we have
was an
that
issue for
conversation.
Ed.
We should hold off on this.
I think they can draw without reason to draw.
Mary Ann, what about there was something Mike LaFuco just.
The fire
just
issue,
added to
the deduction of the fire issue, that was Ed's. We talked about that before, and I didn't believe it gets checked.
But
I see no reason at this time.
The one thing that that was fresh tonight, well, maybe it wasn't fresh, but it might have been brought up many meetings ago, but because it came up tonight again, the issue of the bonus of getting from whatever the number was, 48 to 57, the bonuses to get that extra. He made a presentation
I don't know.
so that the
I believe
bonus
it.
is accurate.
Yes.
Does the applicant want to say something about the bonus that they asked for?
The applicant's proposing 5 moderate income units, which is the maximum number of moderate income units based on the density that you're allowed. And we're now proposing a 6 moderate income unit. So I'm not understanding the argument at all, so I can't respond to it.
And then you
No, that
okay. I should have asked for comment from the board before I asked. Laura, do you have any comments?
No, unless someone can prove that they're not doing the maximum. I don't know by heart what the maximum is meant
it
to
says
be.
you can have for each the bonus is for each additional. You can have up to 20% more if for each moderate income you have one. No, for each moderate, you can have one market rate for each moderate. So you can have 10 more, if you can go up 10, you can have 10 more units, 5 moderate and 5 market.
Okay, Lauren?
Yeah.
And also this new claim tonight about calling something a driveway. You don't subtract driveways from the gross developable area anyway. So like it wouldn't matter whether you call it a driveway or an access area or fire lane or whatever it is. It doesn't subtract.
Mary Ann, you agree with that?
I told you, that was the thing Ed was
Oh,
talking.
okay.
Because I really haven't been not been paying attention to the.
Fire access stuff.
Right.
Mike Smith.
So I would cede whatever my time is, my question to Peter if he wanted to better explain what his position is. Because they're obviously, it's not coming through. So if you wanted to, I think on the 10 units. Okay?
Thank you very much.
And just speak into the microphone clearly, please. Thank you.
So this is 22447.9D 4A. For 3 or 4 family dwellings that include the maximum number of additional units permitted by 2244714, which is the incentive for moderate income units. Additional building and lot coverage of 5% shall be permitted. So in other words, if you build 5 MIUs, you get the 4 bonus market. That's a total of 9. That is the maximum number of units enabled by the moderate income housing density bonus. Okay. That's the bonus. In other words, for an MIU is that you get a market unit. That is, and then I remember this quite vividly from the MFO meetings. The Board of Trustees did not want to give a bonus that was essentially meaningless, that people could get a 20% bump in site capacity, but they couldn't use it because they would run out of coverage. So that the way that they handled that was they created a secondary bonus as of right, that if you got the maximum amount, the full 20%, you got that 5% coverage. And that 5% coverage was understood as allowing you to reach that 20% site capacity. So it was not the primary bonus, it was the secondary ancillary bonus, right? It would be like, you know, it would be like if you had a job and you got well, that's too complicated. But when they say it's the maximum number, the maximum number is all the entire 20%. I remember Connie Kehoe specifically saying that they wanted the real currency of the bonus system and the MFO was supposed to be site capacity. She was specifically worried about housing development that, in her words, looked like a communist housing block. And so that's why the theory is that you gave the bonus in the form of site capacity. The developer could do more with the existing space, but to the extent that they needed more space, it would be available in this one context. Now, I have explained that, I think, a little bit more elegantly in writing. But that is essentially that is what the actual plain meaning of the statute is, the maximum number of units. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Board of Trustees never anticipated a developer would qualify for the maximum number and not build them. That's the situation we're in, which is why an interpretation has to be made.
But what they're not building are 4 market units.
Right.
So that is not, and so what you're saying is because they're not building the 4 market units, they shouldn't be entitled to all of the coverage. The extra 5% coverage.
That's what I'm saying, but that is what the statute actually
But they're
says.
choosing, just so we understand, you would agree, what they're choosing not to do is build the 4 market units.
Completely understood.
Okay.
I mean, again, but it is a bonus they don't get. If they choose not to get the preferred bonus, that's really on them. That's just not what the Board of Trustees really anticipated. So.
Actually, exactly what. No, I'm just saying that the bonus, the way it's coming out is exactly what the board anticipated. Having worked on that bonus with them, what it says is that if for every market rate unit in excess of the maximum, the developer builds 1 moderate income, affordable, a moderate income, then you have that's the density bonus.
I think you just made my point for me. I mean, that's okay. We can agree. They get the bonus, and in order to take advantage of the bonus, they get a 5% coverage bonus. But in this case,
There's 2 bonuses. There's a density bonus. No, you were reading from the coverage bonus, but there's another section in the code that gives a density bonus.
Yes.
There's a density bonus and the coverage.
And if they built all 9 apartments that they're entitled to, then they would also get automatically the 5% bonus, but they're not doing that.
They got the 5% for that. And in fact, the reason that when they could only get a public benefit bonus of 5% is says you can have actually a public benefit bonus of up to 10% unless you've used up your moderate income bonus or your affordable bonus, then it can only be 5%.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have consistently been making that point, I think for almost a year, that they do not qualify for the secondary coverage bonus. Now, I thought that that was perfectly clear because I wrote it up at least 3 times. It could have been raised with the Board of Trustees, but it wasn't. But that is, I mean, if anybody would like a copy of it, you're welcome to look at it yourselves.
Can I respond that this has, first of all, nothing to do with the calculation of the site capacity. You know, he's making a totally different argument, and just because he raises things 5 times doesn't make the point actually accurate, because he quoted the wrong section. It's 224.82. You to look at the gross site area, which is here. Right? Make the numbers bigger. You subtract the lands constituting right-of-ways and easements of access. There are none. Then you subtract land, which is previously approved in subdivision encompassing the same land. So that does wetlands, that doesn't apply. You subtract lands on roads. So he's argued about the land on the road. So even if you include that, as Marianne said, and you subtract that additional 300, whatever, 65 square feet, that equals the base site area. Then you take that number and times it by the density.
Divided by the density.
Divided by the density bonus, density factor, you get to the 48 units. It's just math. So then you times that by 20% to get to the moderate income unit bonus. It's just math, and nothing changes in terms of the number of allowable units.
Marianne? Guess what?
What I've been saying all along and what Kathy just said. Kathy said it very clearly.
So you don't agree with Mr. McCallum?
I'm not sure what this is saying. All I know is I've done this site capacity calculation many times and it's correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear, if it was correct.
I mean, we've heard 6 times about that we're not subtracting an easement, right? And we had to go and research it. We responded to it. We put it in writing. We submitted it to the board. The easement doesn't exist. It's on another property. So it doesn't get subtracted. So just because things are said numerous times, it does not make it actually the case.
Mike, are you okay with what Marianne said?
Yeah.
What Kathy said? Make a note that Mike Bafuco has come in at 7:45 or so. Thank you. I know you're coming in the middle of this conversation. Do you have any thoughts on it?
One question, but since I wasn't here, I wanted to privy this information. But it sounds like Peter's talking specifically about the coverage bonus, not the capacity change. And it sounds like what you're saying is because they're not building the market units, they don't get the coverage bonus.
Right.
So we're not talking about the capacity, we're talking about unless you build all of the markets and all of the affordables that you have, you don't get the coverage 5% coverage, which is.
I'm bringing this up now just because at the bottom of the site capacity determination, there's a statement that it's supposed to run on all renderings of the site from now on in perpetuity. What is the maximum site capacity? And my memory of the WBP application is that includes the bonus units. So which is not strictly speaking part of the site capacity analysis. That is an add-on from the MFO. So it's really two statutes intersecting. And so it's irrelevant in that sense, right? So I would like to know what that bottom line number is going to be. Is the site capacity 57? Is it 53? And how is that number being generated? That's why I brought it up now. I did not think it would be this controversial. I genuinely didn't.
The clearest way to do it then is to say it's the site capacity of, what was it? 48, to which the density bonus for moderate income, The site capacity is 48, and I had indicated this before. And if you add the density bonus permitted by whatever that section is, I think 47.14, you come to a site capacity of 57.
Mike, you okay with that? Mary Ann, you okay with? It sounds like from what you said that this explanation has to do with coverage, not with the site capacity itself.
Yeah, I'm a little confused just because we went back. Sounds like we're talking about capacity and coverage, and as we said, they're two different bonuses. I'm not sure which one you disagree with, or you disagree with both. And I understand how they're related, but I'm not sure which one, because I was asking about the coverage bonus, and you went and talked about site capacity.
Well, it is relevant because somebody has to put a number at the bottom of the site capacity determination. What is the maximum site capacity? Is it 7?
It doesn't have to be one number. You can put it as 48 without the density bonus and 57 with the density.
Yeah, I mean, my thinking on this is a little unstructured because again, we were not expecting this to be in front of us tonight. Also, I would just point out that the later versions of this zoning worksheet, or maybe even this version, did include deduction for 342 square feet of Strawberry Lane. That fluctuated, but that certainly was taken out at some point. I vividly remember Ms. Atlantis agreeing to that. In fact, she pointed that out at the Board of Trustees meeting just on December 10th. She pointed out repeatedly the unfairness of having to take that out of the site capacity determination. It was actually a completely reasonable point. In other words, it was a part of the site capacity determination as late as December 15th. I don't think that's controversial. Thank you for your patience.
We've showed it on every plan submitted since Mr. McCallick as a concession, even though we don't agree.
Yeah.
We've included it and deducted it from the gross area. So yes, this does show a deduction of that 342 feet. So it reduces the buildable area by reducing it by 342 feet. And I just want to comment, there's a misconstrual of the code, because if you look at provision, if you look at the FAR provision, which is F, and then the coverage provision, then they both essentially say the same thing. And it says additional FAR. So for 3 or more family dwellings that include the maximum number of additional units permitted in 224-4714, which is the moderate income units, density bonus for providing the moderate income units additional FAR of 0.05 shall be permitted. And the coverage says additional coverage of 5%. Both say the same thing. So as long as you're providing the maximum number of moderate income units, which in this case is half of the 10 units, which is 5 units, you get that 5% coverage and 0.05 FAR. That's what it says. There's no requirement to build the maximum number of market rate units. The requirement is to provide the maximum number of moderate income units.
The other thing to point out on that is if you didn't get that 5%, you can get the public, you can get a public benefit bonus of 10% coverage. But if you're making use
Correct.
of the 5% coverage bonus for the maximum moderate income, then you only get 5%. So it's a wash in.
So the correct terminology is the site capacity is 48, but you get a density bonus of 9.
Yes.
Correct terminology.
Yes.
And you agree with
That's
that?
it. Yes.
It's actually 9.6. It rounds up. That's how you get the 5 and 5.
Well, we're talking a density bonus of 9. Now you're saying 10.
9.6, yeah.
48 units times 20% equals 9.6 units plus 48. That's how you get to the 57 units.
Well, I don't know.
9, I'm sorry,
48
9 and
plus 10 is
57.
not.
I'm sorry. Law school. Good choice.
But of those 9 units, in reality, with what the board did, Board of Trustees did. 6 of those will be.
So in the new plan that we will submit, it won't be 50 units as proposed here. It will be 53 units. 6 of them will be moderate income units, 6 will be fair and affordable units. And 1 additional market rate.
Lori?
I'm good. I think this was a helpful exercise. I don't like to see people in the public very frustrated, so I appreciate everybody having this discussion.
Thank you for your interceding. That's why you're here.
Microphone, Susan.
Try to lean back. Gonna make this longer. I was thanking Lori for bringing the, for extending the public comment period to get everybody's thoughts. Get the right to speak, give that right. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't happen in prevailing.
I did find the worksheet
The
helpful.
microphone, Dan.
I did find the worksheet helpful in determining 57 units being applicable.
And you gotta get a little button. You push the button and it says microphone.
And text that Lori and Dan can't be heard.
I have no further questions. Mike Smith?
Nothing.
Nothing from me.
All right. So, in regards to site capacity, make a motion to approve site capacity at 48 with a density bonus of 9 to bring it to 57. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, thank you. There was, let's see here, there was an extensive letter from Mafia, the consultant engineer for traffic people.
He's available on.
Yeah, well, the letter is, I looked at it and, I think unless the rest of the board, we looked at it and it's a lot of rehashing. I didn't see anything new. Lori?
No, I agree.
Dan?
I agree.
Mike?
I agree.
Let's let them say. Yeah, I remember what you said. And Mike Bufuco?
I also agree.
All right, so unless there's something that we haven't already talked about, the letter is, has been covered. Every issue in there has been talked about. Now, if you can show us something new that hasn't been, be happy to hear you.
Excuse me, if I could just, I don't know if you got, but Elaine, did
Yeah, I saw
respond
it.
to it and
Yeah.
has circulated the
That's
letter.
essentially what the,
Yeah, she
not
said the
only our
same thing.
opinion, but I should have mentioned that. We also, in addition to our looking at it, the Elaine Du, our traffic consultant from ACAM, had answers that pretty much said on every issue that it's been covered. So, as long as we're on the letter, if he has something new to add, you're welcome to add something new, but
Mr. Mafia is not raising his hand. Maybe the resident wants to speak for him.
okay. Anybody?
Oh, now he's raised his hand.
It needs to be brief. We're not gonna go through the entire letter.
Thank you. Am
We hear you.
on? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Did you hear, before you start, did you hear what I said?
Yes, I did. I appreciate that, and we'll keep it very brief. The issues that we're bringing up are ones that we believe have not been responded to. It starts off basically with a comment on the responses to the questions raised by the police department, which we felt were not specific and detailed to the questions that the police department provided. And of course, we could leave that up to the police department to opine on whether they are satisfied with the responses that they got. There are still the issues that we feel have not do not have a specific response. For example, what happens if the staggering of the student drop-off pickup doesn't happen the way they propose. They don't get enough people to switch into a different hour. What happens? I don't really think that there was full response to the issue that I raised about the spreading of the peak hours. What happens in the other hours when more traffic from this site and others, as they come before the board for approvals, begins to expand the peak hour into 2 60-minute periods instead of one. I'm also wondering if there's more information from the Department of Transportation regarding the hawk signal, the crosswalk, and other mitigation measures that the applicant has proposed, including the left turn lane extension on Main Street. I know we have talked about that. I still have concerns and issues with exactly what that's going to look at and if it can be built to the state specifications.
You gonna wrap it up, please? So far, you haven't said anything new.
Well, not new things, just the fact that things that have been mentioned in previous reviews and previous meetings have not been responded to. They're still unknown as to what the impacts are going to be and if and when the applicant would mitigate those impacts.
Thank you.
And I think the basic,
Hold on a second.
I think in item number 8 is new in the fact that I'm talking about the effects on the neighboring streets and other intersections when people, drivers who've dropped off or picked up someone from the site, get down to the driveway and find they can't make a left turn out onto Broadway. They get anxious, they get impatient, and they make ill-advised movements out of the intersection, and it increases the risk of accidents. Or they'll turn right out of the driveway and circulate through the nearby neighborhood to get going in the right direction. That's an impact on side and other neighborhoods adjacent to the site. That's it. Thank you.
There is a response that ACAM put together.
Yeah,
Line
so
by line.
if you send, if Stephen doesn't mind giving me his email address, I'll forward the,
It's also part
I'll
of the record,
forward
isn't
it
it?
to him. And yes, I just checked with Sarah that she's posted Elaine's, comments on the village website. So we could check there, or if you want to get them directly from me, just, send me an email. I'm sure you've got my email.
Sure, Marianne, I can.
Thank you. I'm going to speak.
Okay.
As far as the police department is, I'm sure they're very confident to speak for themselves. I have personal experience with the police department. I was president of Half Moon South. We have many senior citizens, and there's been well over a dozen health-related emergencies, and in fact, even a death, that the police department handled professionally and knowledgeable, and their expertise is well known in this village, especially to me as president of Half Moon, where a lot of senior citizens reside and require emergency help. So I'm very confident they can speak for themselves. Marianne, you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What was that? Oh, noise. We got a report from ACAM regarding noise, which came up because of the activities on the roof.
Right.
I'm almost eating it, the one thing neither document seemed to address was the one concern that we mentioned at the last meeting, loud music, and I even remember saying that we've all been next to a car with the thumping music. And neither one mentioned that I guess we as a board could put time restrictions on.
I mean, and you can. I think the AKRF, which just came today, so it was just circulated today. That would also be posted. And they're asking for additional information, but they did say that, that the level that they had was consistent with 30 people speaking normally level and no music or other amplified audio. The applicant should confirm that this is consistent with the intended program.
Okay.
Terrace. So either that, or maybe you want to, tell them what kind of restrictions you want for the outdoor.
Well, when we get to it, yeah. There will be restrictions.
Right.
And used by whom? It's gonna
And
be-
the hours.
And the hours. And we'd like to see that, because we don't want it to become a commercial activity, catering ball, catering roof. So please, deal with that. Come up with, what you think is applicable for, it's not only for us, it's the people that live there. They're gonna be the most impacted. I know that as president, we get those kind of things all the time. With the neighbors and noise. Okay. Robert,
Generally, in our complexes, we don't
identify yourself.
Rocco Varma from Varma Development. In our complexes, we generally don't permit any activity in any of the common areas beyond 11 p.m. unless the zoning or township has even more strict, just to be respectful to the community that is immediately there and also for the neighboring users. We don't expect this to be an ultra high activity used facility from any of the common areas, and all the exterior common areas are certainly closed off beyond 11 p.m.
You have some, include that in your response and,
Sure.
and answer the questions from ACAM.
We already have a set of remarks and comments from our noise professionals as of this afternoon, which we will be circulating back to the village as well.
Okay. Noise, anything?
I would say 11 p.m. sounds a little bit late, but that can be up for discussion later. And my only concern, or one concern, is that it becomes a drain on if neighbors are complaining and police have to be dispatched. That's when it becomes a drain on the village resources. So I would just want to understand how that can be avoided.
So far, we have never had that issue in any of our buildings. So we're confident to say we can abide to whatever is requested.
How?
Would you like 10 p.m.?
Rocco, can you face the microphone when you're talking?
Sure.
into it?
If you would like, we can do a 10 p.m.
I think as Laurie said, 11 sounds a little late.
Yeah, which is fine. This is not a community where you're expecting in New York City live happening events.
Face the microphone.
Yeah,
Laurie,
sorry.
Now thank you.
Yeah.
11, living down at Half Moon North, we have issues with noise, and even 10 o'clock is a little late. Most of the residential people down there.
And Dan is a past president of Half Moon, so he has similar experience. Mike Smith on noise.
I have nothing for
Mike,
Nothing for me.
anything on the public for noise?
On 20 Strawberry Lane, absolutely noise is a concern. And I agree with Lori, 11 a.m. is really outrageous. Like, I would like to take a, even asking people around here, aside from the date of this meeting, when do you go to bed? I mean, people get up early, they have children that, and you then go to school. So I would say that like 9 p.m. would be appropriate. It's to get quiet time, enough quiet time overnight.
Sorry, you keep cutting out.
Pull the microphone down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Better?
Yes.
Another question I also asked before this board is, why is the board even approving this roof access and this roof space for the residents? It's out of the care of the village. Why specifically this is okay?
We didn't approve it yet. We're waiting
But
on the
you-
noise report.
But I read the noise report, so let's say it's okay, you will still, you're going to approve it, even, I'm talking about the character of, like, this is, what other buildings in the village have the rooftop accessible to their residents, like the crowds? And why is that okay to do?
Good question. We'll take a poll here. You have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's part of, you know, that the building design and could be a benefit to the residents. I also think that if there are issues, I remember Mr. Varma saying last time that those doors can be, you know, they lock at a certain time anyway. They could be programmed to always be locked if there are too many public complaints. So I'd rather start off giving some access to the roof, even if it's restricted weekdays earlier than weeknights. Remember, it's not, I don't think people are going to be out there in the winter when it's cold. It's more of a spring,
Right.
summer, maybe in the fall. So I think if maybe we put on some tighter restrictions, see how it is. If it's not going well, you know, again, they have to have an approved permit every year. So that's where we have the ability to change what they are, you know, what is allowed.
Yeah, that's a good point about the permit. We'll put the restrictions in and see if it's a problem. We can always review the permit every year.
Thank you.
Dan, anything on?
Well,
the
again,
roof?
it would sort of,
Microphone, Dan.
it would definitely change the traditional character of the neighborhood as well as village-wide. Again, you don't want it to be like Williamsburg or the West Village and stuff like that. So again, as Laurie mentioned, if there are restrictions and allowable hours or something like that, that would be more suitable for our area.
I don't have a problem with it if it's done with proper restrictions.
Yeah.
I mean, just because it hasn't been done before doesn't make it bad. I mean, we're trying to move forward as a village, amenities and with proper restrictions on noise. I think it's okay. Like,
So my question would be,
Mike.
my question would be, whether, is it much different than, since this is being restricted to the homeowners, the unit owners, is it much different than someone congregating in a backyard? Where you would have groups of people and treat it that way. So, yeah, and whoever, it's a question I'm putting out, whoever wants to respond to it. It's, yes, it's an opportunity on a rooftop. But is it different from a noise level? Is it different than people congregating in someone's backyard?
Of course it did.
excuse me. We're
Igor
canvassing,
Galanka.
we're canvassing the board here, so one more person has to speak. Mike Fugo.
Yeah, I was gonna make a similar point. We don't have so many apartment buildings of this nature that I think there's worthy to compare it. But the comparison is my own backyard. Right, I am in my backyard all summer. I have neighbors who I talk to about the noise that I make, and it's the same thing. The difference that I think, Mike, that I'm trying to figure out how this plays in is the potential frequency of that noise because of so many residents. I'm in my backyard, we make a lot of noise. I make a point to make sure that my neighbors are there when I'm making noise. But it's not so often because it's just me and my family, we can't do it. But it's possible that in this scenario, it's always noisy. Now I'm trying to think of what it would be like if my neighbors who are lovely and never complain, if I was there every single day making the same level of noise that we are, a couple times a month during the summer. That might be a problem, and people and my neighbors might say, "I love you, Mike, but enough is enough with the music and the screaming and the kids and everything."
I'd just like to add, Rocco Varma here from Varma Development. We're building a community for folks to live within the community. Your concerns are their concerns. We are not going to brew a completely different type of clientele in Irvington all of a sudden because of this building. People looking to reside in these units are going to be people wanting to reside in a peaceful environment, not in Manhattan. So their desire is going to be very much alike what the neighbors desire, and it's a valid point. It's same events that you would be essentially having in your backyard is essentially what you would expect here. But in our experience, it's further less because these are not folks with large spaces, large entertainment, or large opportunities to entertain. They essentially are, that's their ability to be able to go outside, not having a front yard or backyard. And that is their outside space. That's what they're able to entertain, utilize as their space. It's not a space where you have banquet facilities and events of all nature. We are willing to abide to whatever the board feels is appropriate. I think the point here is valid, but it's not something of concern to us. So we're going to abide with it.
So give us a plan on that. If we need to tweak it, we will, but see.
Besides the hours, would you want to say anything about amplified music? That just strikes me as.
Well, that should be covered by my thumb concern, because there are other facilities in this village that the thump has been a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hearing the thump in the house next door, you're definitely hearing it down below. And those residents are not going to continue living if that continues to happen.
I think we just want to see how you handle,
Sure,
notice complaints to that, because you might say, well, it's part of the rules, but people will do it if they can. I'd also like to know what the plan is for what the rules are and how you would enforce who can use it. Because I think you had mentioned something about you have to be a resident. Does that mean they can't bring up one friend, or they can? Or can they bring up 10 friends? And how do you enforce that? One Saturday there's not 4 units decided to invite 10 people over, and now you have this crazy. You don't have to tell me now, but that kind of enforcing there's not parties and all the time.
Sure. We'll share our standard operation packet for that purpose.
If it's on noise, you're welcome to the microphone.
Speak up into the microphone.
Igor Galenka, Strawberry Lane. Of course, the noise is going to be different. In your backyard and in my backyard, we're screened by trees and we're screened by houses. This is a flat roof with absolutely no protection. It actually is going to resonate and amplify the noise. If you have a noise study, maybe it's going to happen, but there's absolutely no barrier there. Now, aesthetically speaking, although the place does look like communist barracks, I can testify to that. I grew up there. Yeah, I grew up there, and however, the green roof, would be a great welcome to that, because it's like Scandinavian approach to housing. However, not a green roof that is being stamped upon.
Thank you. You have something on noise? Identify yourself again.
It's Peter McCallick, and I hit send on my email today before I realized there was an AKRF report. There was actually a fair amount of overlap, so I just wanted to highlight just 2 things that I did not see in the AKRF feedback that I think, from everything that you guys have just said, you would be on board with. And that is just simply the question of how do you measure the impact on the surrounding houses? So the DEC has a guideline on that, and it says that in this situation, which is residential, and you have adjacent uses that are basically proximal to the site, that you want to measure the sound at the property line rather than inside somebody's house. And then when the Villa Levaro study, when AKRF did the same thing for the Villa Levaro study, they did the same thing. So they didn't wait to see what the sound was like for somebody down on Fargo Lane. It was at the property line of Villa Levaro. That is also how we, the village, measure sound levels when it comes to HVAC equipment. So, I mean, that's, to me, pretty strong evidence that the study by Barma should do the same thing. They're not doing that. So the Galinkers can speak for themselves, obviously, but they have, you know, they should be able to enjoy their beautiful porch and their backyard, which is abutting on that site. And so really, the playground noise should be measured for somebody who's in the backyard enjoying your porch, just like you are able to do in your backyard, right? Not somebody who's hiding in their house. That's point number one. Real quick, one thing I also did not see is traffic and the parking lot. That obviously is a noise generator. That's not actually referred to in either one of these noise reports. It seems like we want a cumulative analysis of all the noise. There's probably background and noise that comes with a development of this size as well. And finally, construction. In particular, there's going to be probably some kind of pile driving happening with the retaining walls that are going into the south. They're driving those down very, very deep in the ground. That is going to be a massive noise impact as well. And as you know, short-term noise impacts are also considered under seeker. And if you thought I couldn't get any more pedantic, sir, well, I just want to point out that there's more than one noise ordinance in the Irvington Code. In particular, the MFO has its own little ordinance. That's 224-4713. I don't see that mentioned in either report. I think it should be, right? In addition, I would mention 140.
What does it say?
The standard there is detrimental to nearby residents. Then there's also 148-4A, which is the general ordinance, which is there. It's about disturbance. But then there's also specific sections of that. There's one, oddly enough, that is focused just on hooting, yelling, the noises that you could associate with a playground. And that actually has a different standard. That is, shall not disturb the peace and quiet and repose of the neighbors. So yeah, I'm sorry. It's more complicated than it might seem. Thank you very much for your time.
I did forward Mr. Michaelik's letter to Elaine after.
Okay. Yeah. In regards to
Not to Elaine, to Ashley. I mean, the AKRF stuff came from Ashley, yeah.
in regards to playgrounds, village did amend the code that essentially a homeowner could put a playground anywhere they want.
Quick.
Yeah, very well.
You're going to need to speak a lot louder. Nothing's coming.
Asi Tract 20 Strawberry Lane. Again, on the noise issue, as I did bring it up before, and I heard the chairman mention the playground can be placed anywhere. However, private house playground is very different than the playground for 170 or 50 students, children at that daycare. It's just no comparison. So I again urge the board to consider why the second playground needs to be where it is proposed in the back of the building, immediately abutting our porch and our bedrooms. Why can't it be placed in the front? And again, I don't quite understand why we can't say no to the roof access altogether, make it a green roof, whatever. But it's just the noise generation is really a concern. I brought it up before, and I'm bringing it up again. And I don't quite understand why it cannot be amended. The plans that the developer is presenting. I mean, you have the power to do it, and we are the residents. We're there now, and why not move the playground? Why not make the green roof? It's nobody's gonna suffer from the playground being elsewhere. Thank you.
Well, can you, so just asking you, would you prevent all unit owners from having any access to the roof?
I should, yes, I don't
So
think,
even if they wanted to go up there and watch the sunset, you would say they couldn't do that?
people, yes, because most people don't have roof access to watch a sunset. they can see it from their window if they would like to. And or not everybody lives in a place when they can see in sunset. So it is okay not to have that access. Most buildings
No,
do
I'm not
not.
asking from that point. I'm asking from the point of view of noise generation. Would you prevent people from saying that they can't go on the roof to watch the sunset?
Okay, Mr. Smith, you're putting it in a way like to that if I say I would like to prevent it, it makes me look kind of evil or not being compassionate to the people quietly observing sunset above over Hudson.
No, actually, I'm trying to come to a line. I'm trying to understand where the line gets drawn. You could say no access for anybody at all, and that's perfectly fine. Because the answer to that would be the reason nobody should be allowed up there is because I can't tell you what the next line is. Or it's no, two people going up there is not a problem from a noise perspective. And 50 people is a problem, but something in between. And I'm trying to understand where that line then gets drawn.
That is a very difficult line to draw, except that it seems like it's going to be either nothing or anybody can go of course, with the time limitations, right? So, or who's going to do the head count? 2 people on the roof. Who's going to be standing there clicking that people in or out? That's why, again, I'm bringing it to your consideration. And I do believe it's unnecessary, really, for this. They will have beautiful front yard and a lot of access to the green space, the residents, I mean, of the. I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
I did mention at the last meeting that it would be helpful if the applicant could show the rear playground in relation to the residents on Strawberry Lane. I don't know if that's something you are ready to address right now, if you've thought about alternate, any alternate location, but you were going to demonstrate that visually for us. And I do recognize that not every classroom and group of children will be using the playground at the same time. So I'm sure you manage those numbers in a certain way, and there are 2 playgrounds, but it's something to think about.
In terms of the use of the playground, or the age bracket of the school, probably not playground.
Right.
It's mostly the residents using it, I would guess. Okay, yeah.
I have no comments.
Thank you, Mike.
Nothing good.
Okay. All right, we're done now for noise. You have the request, you have the ACAM, and Peter raised some points about the property line, so it's interesting. Okay.
I'd like to add, this is Rocco Varma from Varma Development. We have actually responded to Mr. McCallick's questions regarding the noise, and we've also responded to AKRF comments as of this afternoon, which 2 professionals, again, one retained by the municipality here and one retained by us, validate that the noise report is by the code and by the zoning. And also for the playground, if you recall, we had different locations for playground. We have been pushed up, down, back, forth, and front. We're simply trying to abide by the zoning and doing what we feel is correct, and we have the rightful right to do on our property. We have done several modifications and adjustments based on what has been requested. But if we line up everybody on Strawberry and everybody in Irvington, I'm sure everybody would have a challenge with every single situation. And we do certainly meet the village aesthetics because the current residence that is there has 3 rooftop decks.
Okay. All right, Marianne, I ran out of topics on this.
Oh, yeah, you were gonna explain say what happened at the Board of Trustees about the left turn.
Oh.
About the left turn lane.
The traffic consultant, Elaine Du, came up with a plan of moving the double lines to the south, which would create a 12-foot corridor on the north side and a 12-foot corridor on the south side. This would enable 12-foot from the double line to the parking spaces. We indicated that from the engineering point of view, 12 feet is a good lane distance. But what happens when there's a truck that's 2 feet from the curb, and those things that happen, maybe consider the parking spaces to be moved, which isn't necessary because the engineering says it works. But for the off chance that somebody, the odd circumstance, when accidents happen, there's 2 or 3 things that take place that shouldn't be taking place, and to be extra careful. The thought of limiting the parking space or limiting the amount of hours the parking spaces could be used was discussed, and I don't think whatever the trustees do is not pertinent to left-hand turn lane as was proposed by the applicant and settled on by Elaine Dew by moving the double lines sufficiently to the south to provide 12-foot separation between parking and the double line on the north side and a 12-foot separation between the double line and the parking on the south side of the east-west. So I think that's been resolved.
Yeah, it was brought to, you brought it to the board of trustees, and they had, because, the neighbors, on whose parking, the parking
The hair
spaces would
salon.
be taking, had issues with it, so the board had a little bit of concern about it.
Yeah.
But the sense I got was that they would keep an eye on it, and if it got to be a problem, maybe you could eliminate parking just during the rush hour or something, but they didn't make any decision about it.
From the pure engineering aspect of it, it works.
It worked. And then the other thing, Caesar, one other thing you were going to say was to say that the decision, you made your decision about the build out year.
Oh, right. Yeah, I have it here. I couldn't understand my writing. So.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't think that was pertinent to change the build out year because, Mike, you talked about it best, about the 2%.
Right, if we change the build out year, it wouldn't really change the calculations because they've already been conservatively using a 2%, more conservative number of 2%. When if you increase the build out year at 1%, you wouldn't even get to the same place at 2%. So it's already been taken into account.
On the redactions, I just saw my other note.
What?
The redactions.
We'll deal with that another time.
Okay.
I did want to say something about the left turn lane, because I don't know who's listening. I know it's not the room, but I don't know who's listening. And I saw it was posted at the post office, attributing the proposal to eliminate the 2 parking spots on Main Street to the applicant, saying that it's their request to eliminate the 2 parking spots, and it was not. It was the planning board's view that for the benefit of the village, in order to widen the area there, that they eliminate the 2 parking spots if they were going to extend the left turn. And it was our recommendation. It wasn't something that the applicant wanted.
And that request from the planning board was more of a what if, an extreme what if when the big truck is there, and like I said, parked 2 feet off the curb, and that now it's 10 feet. The guy coming east he starts a left-hand turn lane 20 feet before the left-hand turn lane starts. But 12 feet from an engineering, it works on paper. It works perfectly. It's an engineering solution. And being an engineer, I recognize it as an engineering solution. But being a resident, I had to look at, we all looked at the what if scenario. And it was us that Mike pointed out that went to the planning board, went to the trustees. Marianne, anything else?
No.
Anything? Or
Nothing.
I don't think nothing. Sarah, anything from the public on anything?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak, and there are no comments in the chat.
Anybody sitting in the room? Now that we got off, without going back to the specific things we talked about, is there any issue of anybody in the room that wants to opine? Now, ladies first.
Bring the microphone down.
Natalia Broider, 93 North Broadway, live on Broadway. Dear planning board, please, I feel like you're living here, and whatever we're listening to, whatever they're saying, it's like delinquent teenage. Of course, they're agreeing with anything you're saying. Oh, yes, we will do that. But the moment we get out of the house, you know what will happen, right? Forget about that. I'm going to drink my whiskey and I'm going to drive 80 miles. Can you, please, I'm appealing to you. This building is less beneficial to our community. We probably would be better if we can build Costco on that place. I would be happy to walk from my house across the street with this fabulous pedestrian path to Costco. It's as equivalent building something in Irving. We live in Village, please, for God's sake. 300 cars, 8 o'clock in the morning and after 3, 4, 5 p.m. You're driving on Broadway, right? You know how hard it is. Please.
Igor Galenker, Branch Strawberry Lane again. Actually, I would like to continue what was said here and also respond to what Mr. Farmer said. And it is they moved things this way.
I apologize. You really have to speak louder.
Okay, I'm trying. That they need to move things this way and that way to accommodate everybody. And if everybody is asked about what they want, all the neighbors, there'll be 100 opinions. And the reason it is being brought up because the whole approach to this project has been wrong from the outset. The reason I'm bringing it up is because there's a cosmopolitan building, okay, project that's happening in town, where the approach has been correct. And the approach there has been actually announce the plan, invite the people to visit, invite people to comment, respond to people, and actually be a good neighbor. The approach here has been not only a bad project, which is a Kazarm-like looking communist building that totally out of character with the village, but also a bad way of doing business. Ignoring the neighbors, in fact, viewing and treating neighbors as obstacles, kissing up to the board, showing the finger to the neighbors, pushing people to bend the rules and break the rules to get what you want. So the result of that is what? We're demolishing 1859 building, which we're building Kazarm, we're building a parking lot. Moreover, if you look carefully at the plan that was recently distributed, on 3 out of 4 sites, they do absolutely the worst possible thing they can do to the neighbors. Such as, on Broadway, they're breaking the wall. Facing Strawberry Lane, when there are trees, they're removing the trees. So the people who live on Strawberry Lane are going to face actually the barrack. On the west side, I'm sorry, on the east side, with 20 Strawberry Lane, they're building the playground in your face, okay, on one side, and planting Japanese pine trees, which are 100 feet tall, and not only block the view from the building, but also block the view from the school, without ever talking to anybody, without bringing anything. So in every possible way, there's complete disregard to the neighborhood. And in fact, in your face, we can do exactly what we want on our property. Now, this is how Varma behaves before they bought the building. Can you imagine how they're going to behave? They become our neighbors and actually settle in comfortably. And they're going to be my neighbors, and they're also going to be your neighbor. And I think we deserve better.
Well, to say that we're going easy or bending over, this June's coming up a 2-year review. That doesn't strike as giving them everything they want. So I don't know about that. Anyway, anybody else?
One hand raised.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi there, Richard Levine from 75 North Broadway.
Go ahead.
Just making sure you can hear me.
Yes.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I just want to agree with the previous resident of what they had to say, especially in the part of from the beginning, from the outset, from Varma and how they handled this. I remember in a meeting they said they spoke to many members of the public about the development and how people wanted the development, etc. Well, I live opposite the development and never once got a letter or a knock at the door or a call or an email asking me about my viewpoints on their development and anything like that and what we'd like to see at the development. In keeping with the neighborhoods, like the latest plans are that obviously the mansion is being completely knocked down. And yeah, visually, certainly not in keeping with the village. Obviously, yeah, removal of trees, removal of the brick wall. I want to know how that's going to impact in drainage. A big thing for us and my property is that we are straight down from Strawberry Lane, and all the water runoff from that property all the way down comes straight down my driveway. So I definitely would like to understand what the impact is of this property, the new building and the property and all the redevelopment on the drainage and the drainage capacity that's already overflowing massively from those sewers there. And then in terms of noise, it's not just, the noise of the residents that will be there every day. It will be the construction that's going to go on. How long is the construction going to last for? What type of construction? Is there blasting, pounding? How long will that go on for? And then obviously with all the extra traffic, it's the noise of the extra traffic right in front of our homes. All those times of pick up and drop off. And then especially if there's going to be this Hawk crosswalk that's been spoken about a few times. There are big cars, big trucks starting in front of our homes on a regular basis. So I have a lot of objections with a lot of the things that have been spoken about. So just want to make my points. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple, it's come up a couple of times and you need to go back to the trustees when they changed the zone or amended the zone to allow for this type of project in terms of characteristics. And there was a lot of thought that went into that, a lot of time. And the trustees enacted that, and that's, so the concept has already been addressed by the trustees. That was the skeleton of what's there, and the planning board is putting the flesh on the skeleton. In terms of some of that flesh, people have talked about the trees. We have a landscape architect, arborist, and she has been to the site, and we're coordinating with the tree commission. They made a joint inspection, an elaborate tree plan that they've developed, and I believe the applicant is fully on board with the tree plan. That's I'm not sure if it's ever evolving, but I'm pretty sure it's close to some conclusion. As far as drainage, if you looked at the website, there's a drainage system on the site that will be the famous is it 6-inch or 8-inch pipe that 8-inch pipe that
Go over that next week.
that floods Route 9 during a heavy storm. That's the requirement is to keep that water on site. So drainage should get better with the new drainage plan that they have. With that said, anybody else on that?
Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's Walter Montgomery. I am speaking not as the board chair at Abbott House or as the head of our traffic committee in Irvington, but as a private resident strictly. I have to make that clear. Who lives at 7 Strawberry Lane, directly across from the site that is proposed to be developed. And I want to express concern, a selfish concern once again, that the trees that I think have been the subject of some discussion along the property, along the south side of the property, provide very poor screening. In fact, virtually none. And an expert arborist of ours has said that at least one of those trees should be taken down because it presents a clear and present danger to our house and probably to one or two other houses. So I hope that gets addressed, but we would also request that there be real screening along that side of the property, please. And I'm reiterating here a concern that I expressed before. Those trees provide essentially zero screening, even during the summer. So that is my comment. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Walter. As I said just before you came on, we have a landscape architect and the tree commission person working judiciously and expertly on just what you're talking about. So we're going to rely on that input, and hopefully, if you look at the tree plan online, and if you have anything specific that you can add to our landscape person, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Walter. Have a good day.
Igor Galinger, 20 Strawberry Lane. I actually reviewed in detail the plan, tree plan, actually, and they're planting a forest in front of our house.
I didn't hear what you said.
They're planting a forest in front of our house.
I think you're commenting on something that's being changed. So I wouldn't be commenting right now.
Oh, okay, that would be nice, but nevertheless, the pine trees which are 100 feet and about 5 other trees which are 60 feet.
You know, it might be worth conveying to Susie, because Suzanne doesn't, I think, usually watch the meetings. So it might be worth conveying to, I'll give Suzanne a call and tell her about Walter Montgomery's concern and your concern. I know which property she's talking about. I'll tell her to keep an eye on it.
There was a letter which prompted a unifying approach to the tree issue. It was an early letter from the tree commission that had lots of trees planted everywhere, and which prompted a reevaluation and coordination between the tree commission, which was asking for one thing, and our landscape architecture, which was looking at it from a different perspective. The tree commission looks at it, you cut a tree down, you put one up. But the landscape looks at it as a landscape issue. But they did meet and they're working together, and hopefully it will come out. And Marianne, you're going to talk to Suzanne.
Yeah, both about the Montgomery's concern about Strawberry Lane. And you're in what used to be Brady's house, right? Yes. Okay, I know which house you're talking.
Anything else? You're not on anything we already talked about.
It's Peter McCallick, and I just wanted to point out that the MFO actually does express a preference for pitched roofs. It's not an absolute preference, but there is language there indicating that would be more in the character of the neighborhood. I also probably 8 months ago, I did a survey of every multifamily anywhere in Irvington. The only one that has a flat roof is, I think it's 25 North Buckout. Those relatively new condos that look kind of like from Cape Cod. They have one central flat roof that is only accessible to 4 units. That is the biggest one that I could find from driving around. There is language in the code that protects shrubs as well, as you know, and so I think the critical root zones of shrubs are also supposed to be protected. I just don't see that happening on the landscape plan. And finally, I think now that the applicant has like this nice fat wad of coverage in its pocket, I think about 7,500 square feet, I'm just wondering, can we possibly reopen the conversation about saving the mansion? If you remember, the only reason why the mansion could not be kept, according to the applicant, and this is coming straight from their EAF narrative, is that they could not afford the coverage of the fire apparatus access road that it would take to get up that mansion. That doesn't seem like it would be a problem anymore. And I think given that the code also requires them to preserve the mansion to the maximum extent possible, it just seems like this would be the right time to reopen that conversation. Thank you very much.
I hate to change the rules in the middle of a game, so we'll think about it. Thank you, Pete.
Just want to remind the board that the applicant did seek a public benefit bonus related to preserving the original plan, which contemplated preserving the mansion. Mr. McCallick specifically spoke out against that, but put that aside. The reason we can't ultimately preserve the mansion is that there's no way to there's not available fire access to the mansion. The existing driveway predated the code requirements and been determined that it's too steep and doesn't provide access. Then we looked at creating a northern access along the northern lane of the property, and that also was too steep. So there's no way to preserve that mansion to allow it to be developed for multifamily units and provide safe fire access. That was the ultimate conclusion, and that's why the mansion ultimately cannot be preserved.
Yeah, there was very little comment and moved on. Yeah, and you checked.
Yeah, I went through the minutes today because one of the trustees had asked me about it, and you guys talked a little bit about this. Would have been December 2024. Would have been the meeting that they came to first after the board of trustees did not give them that bonus. You talked a little bit about it, but there was no public comment, no consulting board. Just
We moved
accepted
on.
it at that point.
Sarah, anything else?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak, and there are no comments in the chat.
Anybody in the room cover something we haven't already covered? You have noise, you have something I was gonna, can't remember what it was now. You have to do the sewer work, you know that. Something else.
Lori had asked them to show the
Oh, the
playground
playground.
in relation to the
Mhm.
to the house behind it.
Well, they're meeting with Ed to talk about all the fire issues.
Right.
But there was something that I just popped in my head and I can't remember. Should have wrote it down like I usually do. Okay. Oh, just remember. At the last meeting, and you don't have it now, that's 2 meetings. Somebody mentioned it. I think that's where he was going about the flat roof. The view from Strawberry, the side of the building that faces south, he mentioned, the architect mentioned he had put in there some architectural features to make it not look like too much like a barracks. And then we requested, that was a nice attempt, and we asked, or I asked, that could more be done on what you, because there was an attempt to put certain features on reduce the wall effect. And we said, that's nice, but can you do more? So I don't know if he did that. Okay. Okay, I think we're done with this. Anybody from the board?
No, nothing.
Okay, we're done, and the meeting of January 7th, planning board is,
No, I thought you were gonna discuss.
oh, well, the meeting of the planning board for the agenda is closed.
Agenda item.
But, but we will continue, here in an open public meeting, to discuss two different requests from the mayor and trustees regarding some zoning amendments, one of which might pertain to the 76 North Broadway property, and the other pertains to the Cosmopolitan building, on, 50 South Buckout Street, sometimes called the Trent Building. So I think we'll do the request, the amendments for the school definition. What was the other, something? Traffic.
Yeah, on traffic, whether it's specific.
This is a work session. It's a public meeting, but as a work session, there will be no public participation. And if there's some concerns about these zoning changes, the trustees will be conducting public hearings, at which time the public will have ample opportunity to discuss. This is just for us to decide. They asked us for our thoughts on these amendments, and they gave us to one of them February 6th.
Yeah, well, okay, under the zoning code, any amendment to the zoning code that the board of trustees comes up with has to be referred to the planning board for your report. You can, it's up to you whether you want to, comment on it or not. Okay, and so there were two local laws that came up at Monday's meeting. Okay, the one of them, and we'll talk about this one first, is to, I sent you all a copy of it to amend the zoning code to add a definition of school, and the definition of school is a college, university, high school, middle school, secondary school, primary or elementary school, and preschool and nursery school. The issue was coming up, the nursery school and school.
If by accident somehow they left out some esoteric thing that's not mentioned there, that it seems like they were pretty comprehensive on all the possibilities of school.
Okay, well, that's a good suggestion. I mean, you could add like a place of instruction, including
Some generic, because
a place of instruction.
someone would say, well, it's not specifically there,
Right. Okay.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
No.
Not at this time.
No, as an example, I was thinking like of a karate school.
Yeah, right. There's an
It's
example.
not an educational, it's not a educational program as those other examples, but it is a school.
Yeah, Jose Guzman, who has.
So it would be covered by saying place of instruction, including. I guess if you say including, but not limited to.
Do we have to put this stuff in writing?
I'll write up some.
Oh, okay.
I'll write, you know what, Caesar, whatever you guys agree on, I'll write it up, send it to you, and then you can send it on to the board. I'll draft it for you. You'll send it, you'll write it and send it.
Because Jose Guzman has the karate school in Dobbs Ferry. You never know if he wants to expand.
Culinary school,
Yeah.
That's instructive.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to get into, you were so specific, but you didn't mention this or that.
Yeah, okay, that's a good suggestion.
Mike
Okay,
Lafuco.
and then the second, there's two.
Hold on a second, let me get Mike, the other Mike.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I think, some of these I think are more clear cut, right? College, university, to a certain degree, high school, middle school, secondary school, primary, elementary, although I would wonder whether or not that is both public or private. My question is,
Since it's not limited, it would be public or private.
and preschool and nursery school gets to me a little bit in a gray area unless there's some other definition as to what that actually is. If I say it's a preschool, is it a preschool?
I don't know how you define a preschool.
And that's why, because anyone could go and say it's a preschool, unless there's some sort
But
of.
you had people getting up and saying a preschool is not a school because it's not, included under the state education code. That was, as the board told you before, that was not their understanding. Their understanding is a school includes preschool and nursery school, and this just seemed to be, I guess you could say the same thing about, college. Well, what if it's, unaccredited college? There's no limitation, it's just college.
Yeah, you'll draft something up.
I'll do that. Okay, and then the other amendment is to, in the, paragraph where it, lists the requirements of the special permit, one of them is it will not result in an unmitigated significant adverse traffic impact at any of the intersections identified by the planning board. And then this sentence would be added. These standards shall apply in lieu of the general standards in 224. And as the board wrote to you, I guess you got a letter from John Siegel about a month and a half ago, saying that was the intent of the board. And there was some question, well, who's this? So they're just clarifying it in the statute.
Okay. Lori?
Sounds good to me.
I'm okay.
Sounds good.
I'm good.
Great.
Okay, so no comment on that. The other one has to do, well, we'll stop because they're gonna leave. It'll make noise.
I can give you the picture book.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's just, they're a little bit nicer they're easier to look at.
Okay.
I have to get these back though. It's not what's proposed, this is what it was in the same day. And then there's some,
Kathy,
work plans, and then there's some.
they really need to get together with Ed on this.
Yes.
The sanitary.
Well, I saw this, sir. Sent earlier this afternoon, I think.
Now, in order, so.
Leave.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna have a meeting if you could move along.
Well, they could be.
They can stay, it's public.
Certainly welcome to stay, but you're also welcome.
So the red brick.
Okay, Mary Ann, we're gonna pause a second while. I've been at every meeting, so I know what it looks like.
Can Sarah put it up on the screen too, or no?
I think we got it in the email.
Yeah, I have it on my list.
I don't know if it can go up on this.
But, well, this just, you guys aren't voting on anything
Yeah.
on this particular, but just, I thought it would be helpful for you to see what the proposal is.
My thought on it, Lori, is, and Mike and I had this discussion on it. It's, they're not asking us to review the project, they're asking us to comment on the zoning.
Right, yeah,
It helps to know what the project is, but
Yeah, let me explain where it is procedurally. They've got to come to the Board of Trustees for zoning changes that would allow this. And I'll go through the individual amendments in a few minutes. And again, because it's zoning amendments they're proposing, they have to come to you for your report. See, well, I mean, yeah, whether you've got a report, you report back to them in 30 days, and you can report after tonight if you want. Then it's the Board of Trustees that's gonna be doing the secret on this. Where they don't have to declare their intent to be lead agency, they're the only agency that can. No, they declare their intent to send it around. And, so they'll do secret on it. They've retained AKRF to help them with the secret. And, if they adopt the zoning amendments, then it'll come back to you for site plan review, at which event, you would go through everything, including, traffic parking, although they'll have had to do a lot of the traffic, ahead of time, because they can't neg deck it under secret unless they can show that the traffic impacts can be mitigated. Same thing, that they have to show that there would be sufficient parking on the site or they couldn't approve it, so a lot of this stuff will be done, but you'll review it a bit more. And also, you know, some of the basic engineering things like stormwater, you know, sewer and whatever, that's gonna have to be resolved because they can't make that until those things are resolved. So it'll come back to you, but, you know, a lot of the stuff you ordinarily review will have been reviewed already.
Doug, you mentioned, so does that building go to the Irvington pump station or the
I
county?
can't, no idea. Maybe I know.
It goes to the Irvington pump station now, which is a problem, but there's a sewer in front of it if they put a private pump in. So it's a very, it needs a study just like every other thing.
Yeah,
Every other project.
that has nothing to do with the zoning amendments.
I don't think so. I'm just worried. Yeah, no, not at all.
But it is an issue because the village pump station is pretty small.
Yeah, it would make sense for them not to if they have it, but I don't think they have the square. Just like the slice up, I don't think they have the real estate for it.
Hmm.
You know, you're gonna lose parking in the garage for
Okay.
it. I mean, that's the math. Or you're gonna lose restaurant seating, or you're gonna lose.
They can upgrade the village pump station.
I'd rather them privately pump into the public system like Donardo did.
But presumably that
Yeah.
stuff will be worked out
Yeah.
before it comes to
I'm
you.
sorry, Rancid. That wasn't Donardo, it was Rancid.
All right, so you want to go through them, Mary Ann?
Yeah, these are the amendments they would need in order to be able to build that building. One, and to have that use. One is, the definition of hotel was expanded a little bit to say, which is not a huge change. The permitted, hotel is already defined in the code as a, you know, building containing more than 6 rooms. They don't need to
Excuse
go
me a
through-
second. Sarah, can I get another bottle of water?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. My throat is a little.
Yeah.
The amendment would be to add permitted accessory uses include but are not limited to restaurants, bars or lounges, ballrooms, meeting rooms, or recreational facilities. Already now, there are a lot of hotels, and then as a separate use, any accessory use customary to it, and those are really all customary. So that's one change. Another change is, right now,
What is it now?
it doesn't say anything about accessory uses. It doesn't say anything.
It just
It's
says
just
ho-
this. There's a separate provision that lists all the things you can have in the business district, and you can have hotels. But and then you can have any accessory use customarily incident to a permitted use. So it's just spelling it out here, what might be customary uses, because you don't want somebody to come back and say, well, you know, ballroom's not customary to a hotel. Well, I guess it depends on the size of the hotel, you know, it's just clear. Tell me when you're ready, Mike, and I'll move on.
I am, okay.
Okay, so
And
then,
Mary Ann, maybe give the setting. This is for it's not just for this building, it's the entire business district.
yeah, this is how the term hotel, hotels are only allowed in the business district, but this would be, and, you know, any hotel that might open in the
Just to
business
get the,
district.
roughly, Ed, can you tell us what the business, from where to where to where?
It's Broadway to, just
Really,
like
right?
the churches, Broadway to the apartments, all of Main Street, and then Buckout, South Buckout, and South Buckout to 50 South Buckout, and then North Buckout, just to the post office. Oh, wait, yeah.
So this actually isn't really a change, it's real more of a clarification. All right, then the second change is right now, you can have dwelling units in the business district, but only over retail, personal service, and service establishments. This adds hotels, that you can also have, residential over a hotel. So any hotel you had in the business district, you could have residences above it. That's what Amendment 2 is. Amendment 3, except is permitted under chapter 184, and except for restaurants, parking structures, except for parking structures, And that actually was, that's already in the code, but it was moved from another section. And customary uses accessory to hotels, except for uses, customary uses accessory to hotels, all permitted uses, whether principal or accessory, shall be carried on in buildings enclosed on all sides, which means that, like in a restaurant now, it was changed so that, you could have outside use, you could have outside, seating. And this would also permit it for hotels.
That's an important item. And the way you described that, the loft building is that in the business district?
Yeah.
So, and if I recall, that became an issue. The loft came in the application, put a patio in, move the noise that's inside and objectionable to the outside. And they couldn't because they were going beyond the walls
Right.
of the existing building.
This wouldn't allow them to do it because it says it's limited to hotels.
Oh,
But it would mean it's only customary uses accessory to hotels could be outside.
Right.
It still might raise some of the other issues.
When it says something like customary to hotels, it's something we added to make that a little bit more clear so that hotels in downtown Manhattan and their customary uses don't apply to this hotel. Someone could say 80%, 95% of hotels have this, but then maybe 5% of hotels in heavy residential areas don't ever have that.
Like what?
But this is
this
what ends up getting us
This is
on
what
all
they're
future
they're
applications.
proposing a big hotel.
Right, but I'm saying this is what gets us on future applications. It's relatively vague. Someone comes in and says, there's this thing in hotels that people didn't think about beforehand. Everybody has them. We're going to add one. And everyone comes in and says, why would we want that in the hotel in a residential area? And then we say, oh yeah, we're right, but the code allows for
Here
it.
you've got a big hotel.
well,
I would say this is probably equivalent to one of the, to a city hotel.
Yeah.
Not quite.
I don't remember how many rooms it is.
I know we're not reviewing the project, but the project has a rather large outside area that faces the river, which would be relatively a lot larger than what Loft was proposing. So, but it's pretty much the same as what the Loft was proposing. And if there's an event room and it'd be an excellent venue for a cocktail hour, for a wedding.
I mean, under this, the way this is written, you could have weddings outside.
Well, I think they need to, I don't know, from my point of view, they should consider that this is still a residential mixed use. And the noise, I mean, we heard about the noise from rooftop, nothing. They need to think about that. And anybody else, any thoughts on that? Allowing a hotel to have a wedding outside on that big patio?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in favor of just throwing it in there as a, as an easily, we won't have any recourse once they change the zoning, right? How can you say, no, you can't have a deck, but it's in the zoning?
Because this isn't by special permit or anything.
Yeah. I probably have the most amount of concern with that. I saw that pool area, which is what you're talking
Pool
about.
doesn't bother me too much as a wedding.
Why? You can cover a pool, put a floor on, make it a dance floor.
Yeah, well, that's the wedding act.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you
Tent on it.
Right.
There you go.
Unless you
people
can,
in there.
if there's a way to restrict the outdoor use, the way that, all the restaurants down there have outdoor space, right? So I don't have as big an issue using it as for dining, but not for event necessarily. That I feel would have to be part of a
The
special
music
permit or
issue,
something. Yeah.
The people, they have to be, trustees have to be aware of the loft.
Oh, yeah.
And a tremendous
Oh,
amount.
there
of-
were so many complaints.
Yeah, although it was to the yellow board, I mean,
I just know the
This was
neighbors
odd,
were
yeah. I know.
really.
Yeah, I know the
suffering.
old board was concerned, but on.
You can't erase history.
Is it still functioning, the loft? Is it still in business? And are there complaints that you know of?
I haven't heard of any in a while.
I think they made some acoustic changes.
No,
No, but it's enclosed.
they've settled down a lot. It's a different now.
Uh-huh.
It's more weddings and things like that instead of trying to use the space every day for
disco.
Well, there's a lot of bar and bat mitzvahs, loud music Saturday
Yeah.
night.
I mean, and the
There was
thing,
one in September as well.
Yeah.
and the thing about this, their question came up, there was some concern about, you know, the noise, not, forget the outside thing about the inside noise. It's a new building and they can build
They
it
can
so that.
dampen
Yeah, I understand.
But that has nothing to do with the outside, so,
Yeah.
so should I say that there's some concern about,
Yeah.
about
Absolutely.
the out,
Well,
about
there-
outdoors?
Are they intending for this to be a wedding venue?
Well, there's a big event
No,
space.
there's
in the-
Oh, no, not that it can be. Is that what with this?
There's
really
both.
proposed?
There's a restaurant, and attached to the restaurant will be a full space.
It's a venue. It's
A venue.
a revenue stream for them. So
Yeah,
I
I
would
would
think
think so.
yes. Yeah,
So,
100%.
so
I
they're
mean, they never
putting,
came right out and said it, but I think it's
They
pretty
did. No,
clear
they
from
did.
their description of it, yeah.
and so what was the was there conversation about it being in a, whether or not it's in a residential neighborhood?
Well, there was conversation,
Semi.
but it focused mainly on, there were, because the board brought up the thing about the lofts, and then that's when they were saying, well, you can build it so that the noise doesn't, you know, come out of the building.
But when you're outside,
Not for
Well, no,
That's
that's
the place to go.
that's a different question, that was the question
Yeah.
that came up, which is a different question from outdoor events.
I would say, I would like you to know that we have serious concern around.
Okay, so the concern is with,
It's not the events, but the indoor event
Me-
space.
concern, the outdoor events.
Yeah.
Right.
Concerns
So how
about-
is that,
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's different than the Madam Walker house. But because there are more houses that surround,
Yeah.
you know, residential houses that surround Madam Walker house. Here, what do you know, really, you got South Buckout? What else do you know, maybe
the co-op is half moon north, so you get the noise.
maybe
And Station Road.
maybe
Can
the,
you tell from the layout on there where the outdoor space is?
It
It's
looked
all
like
on-
it
it's
was
all on the west
back
side.
Yeah, the west side.
Toward the
Yeah.
river.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not next to
100%.
the neighbors on Buckout.
No,
Yes, you're correct.
Well, see,
No,
so that's
that helps.
different too.
that's good for the indoor space, for sure, but the outdoor.
No, I mean the outdoor space. Does it show on there?
Yes,
the outdoor
yes, the
space?
outdoors
Yeah, right
also looking at the river.
Top of the page.
Right.
I mean,
All green.
you can express your concern about it and then maybe they deal with it in a certain way.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
so
what
it's
I would
on,
like.
it's
Yeah.
more on the
That-
river, it's
Yeah.
on the,
The
it's not
riverside.
on the street side, South Buckout side, it's on the street side.
Facing the river.
on
But the
parking
loft
lot.
windows
Right.
face that way too. Right? The
What's that,
loft
Lauren?
windows face
Yeah, you do.
the river.
Yeah, but isn't it closer to but it's closer to the Buckout people, isn't it?
If it is, it's not that much.
That
Right.
much. Okay, well, so I'll just say that the board had concerns about about outdoor event space, the noises from outdoor events.
Yeah.
I mean, are they gonna have, hour limitation?
Yeah.
Then,
It's like we're putting restrictions on the uses, any hourly restrictions or any.
Well, what you said, you just generally say what the
Yeah.
concern is and
Yeah,
that
you
they
have
can
to.
figure it
Thank
out.
you. Mike, you have any thoughts on
And they're the ones who are like conceivably.
it?
And they'll be,
Obscured.
this will be in front of public comment when it's at the trust.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, then, four is irrelevant. 5, the height of buildings, this is a big change. So it says that the board, in its discretion, and it would be the board of trustees, not you guys, may permit additional height for an existing building that it determines to be of local historic or architectural significance, provided that the additional height does not exceed the highest point of any existing architectural element on the building. And the reason that it's so
dome,
awkward
that's
is
the
that they
dome.
wanted to be able to go as high as the
The
dome.
dome.
So that. See, right now,
Yeah.
it would be this high,
Yeah.
and that height would go.
That gives,
Is there-
them the residences.
It
That's
is-
why.
That gives them 2 stories.
Yeah.
do we know the the distance from the rooftop to the top of the dome? Because that's,
Yeah,
Not
well,
offhand.
well, right now, the top of the dome is 67 feet.
yeah, but from the rooftop.
Would you say it's?
Yeah, no.
Is that in front of the building or the back of the building?
What I'm looking for is what's this?
That's from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
train station side. That's
Because
the
that's
square foot
what's
measurement
being.
of 67 is if you're. But then,
That's the back. That's the back. West
If you think
elevation.
about it,
But if you look at it, my guess is it's probably about 16 feet.
I mean, who's addressing view preservation for anybody that?
yeah, well, that was one of my.
Yeah, well, they've got it, they
have
to do
to.
that, but,
I mean, I guess they
They
could-
did come in with drawings showing that it didn't affect the views, but,
Would still be stuck with it if it comes up.
Caesar, I think you need to remove from this particular point the fact that they're using it for the extra residentials momentarily, because it's going to be in the zoning code that can be used by anyone for anything else. Right? That rule of the highest architectural
well,
feature.
it does say, the limitation on that is the Board of Trustees in its sole discretion may permit it. If it considers the building to be of local historical or architectural significance. That was the attempt to limit it so that everybody could.
Better than nothing. My concern is that
There was like that was a huge thing to them because I raised. When they came in and said they were just doing little tweaks, and I asked them, well, what are the tweaks? I said that was really big, and specifically said, couldn't you just keep that same height in it? I guess it
This
doesn't
is
work.
a deal breaker for them if they
It was
can't
a
get
deal
that.
breaker.
I know,
Absolutely.
I've heard that.
I would be more inclined to think of another, if we were okay with the residential units and the height, I'd rather them get it without adding this to the zoning code. So that I don't see why, I'd rather there be another way that doesn't live in the code forever, it can be applied in other ways. Like, I obviously have no idea what other ways could be possible, but it seems like they want the extra height for these residential units, and they want it add in a much more generic piece. They want to make a much more generic change to the code. I'd rather be like, well, if we wanted the units, I'd rather say, okay, have them. Let's not change the code. So we can do that.
Well, that's the problem because, right, they don't want to pursue this because that is such a deal breaker for them. So that's why if they wait until they get to the planning board and then there's too much, opposition to it, the whole project is.
Mary, on the height, to Mike's point, it sounds like that they have to, if there's another building in the business district that wants to go to the highest point of it, they have to come back to the trustees. From what I listened to that.
Right. The Board of Trustees, in its sole discretion, if it determines that the buildings of local historic or architectural significance. So.
They have to go back to the trustees. It's not a blanket approval for.
No, the Board of Trustees has to approve the additional height on a building that it considers.
Right. A building that may be different than this building.
Yeah, I can't think of any other, but it's not.
Right, I know, I'm trying to think what building
it's
that
not
would be, but.
inconceivable,
Is that okay, Mike? Yeah. The big, from the height, I don't think the height, extending the extra feet to meet the top of the zone. From Buckout Street, I don't think it's a big deal in terms of mass. But if you're looking at it from Park, I mean, it already is a big building. And is there a concern with that mass? I mean, it is an extraordinary building. So it's just, and I think they did a good job in and of course we would have input in how it looks. But looking at it from the river, it's pretty.
I mean, imposing. Yeah. Well, that was Yeah, can you read it again? Is this something about the sole discretion of the Board of
Oh,
Trustees?
yeah, but, Mike, let me give, I have an extra copy of it. It's probably easier if you read it.
Well, while you're looking for it, the reason I bring it up is my concern would be the Board of Trustees. There's nothing in it that says that the planning board has to see it first
No.
and approve the use case, and then it goes to the Board of Trustees to approve. Which means the Board of Trustees could theoretically, 20 years from now, approve something, and then we're stuck in a situation where we don't like it. The town hates it, and we're stuck in the, well, the trustees gave it to them. We are in a pickle, and I would not like to be in that situation.
Well, I mean, I suppose in the future, it's not gonna go to the Board of Trustees first. It's gonna come to you guys.
But this doesn't say
Because-
that, so.
What?
That was my question was, there's nothing, is there anything in it that says the Board of Trustees can't
Yeah.
just?
Once you adopt these amendments, if the board adopts these amendments, and somebody comes in with a hotel, it'll come to you first for site plan approval. And they may, and let's say they want to do the same thing, then they're gonna have to go to the Board of Trustees to get that
The planning
approval.
board would refer to the trustees because.
Yeah, or they,
because
or.
At the discretion, it says at the discretion
Yeah,
of the trustees.
presumably they would go to the board, they could go to the Board of Trustees first and say, hey, you're gonna give us this, because if you don't give it to us, we're not gonna go forward.
We're not
But
gonna-
you're right, once they give it to them, yeah, they got it. Yeah. But sometimes it's easier to read it. This one.
Is the height,
You got it,
Is that the back of this?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I know, it's, when you read it out loud.
that's not specific to a hotel like the outdoor space was.
No, what?
That's not
The height.
The height thing, no, it's any building,
any
yeah.
building.
Yeah, it's not just a hotel.
All right, anything else on the height?
I don't know if Mike would focus on.
No, I mean, as long as it's going to go through planning board first.
Well,
This
No.
issue, what, I mean,
Yeah.
this issue of the height is not coming through the planning. The only thing that, if it comes to us, then and they need this, we're referring it to the BOT. It's not like we're getting a chance to weigh in.
Right,
Just
but
like-
that's the same,
just
just
like-
like with anything else that we refer to the zoning board or the ARB when we're like, this has to be done.
Just like no one asked us about the MFO.
No, I know. This is the
DOT
part
did
of
that.
the, you know, my
DOT did
questioning
that.
of this, of things coming to us with people saying we have
So,
permission to do this.
It was sent to you guys for a review.
I wasn't before my time.
I asked,
Before your time?
yeah,
BC. I don't know. Yes, it was.
was the MFO zoning amendment
I
sent to
don't
the
remember.
planning board?
Supposed to be.
I wasn't on the board then.
I might have been.
This is a little different in that this is a
But
specific
I mean,
application.
but Mike, you could, there's nothing to stop it. Let's say the Board of Trustees is considering it. You're gonna know they're considering it. The planning board could say, hey, listen, Board of Trustees, we think this is a real bad idea because of whatever.
Right, I mean, I guess it doesn't stop us for saying it's a view preservation issue, even though you have the height. You still can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that it would be difficult once the Board of Trustees gave them that additional height to say, hey, you can't have it.
So we made a big deal about about view preservation along the waterfront to prevent stuff like this. And yet,
Well, this was, I
allowing
don't,
it.
see,
Well, that could
you
be
were
our
at the
comment.
meetings, didn't they come in with the slides showing how it didn't affect the view? I mean, it wasn't,
I
they
don't-
ignored that.
I think they orally said things about the view, but I don't recall us, view.
Wait, maybe that's something that you could add in there, something about view preservation.
We don't want to get stuck with a long drawn out view preservation argument if it is an impact. And because now the concentration, or view preservation, even if it's like a half inch of waterfront that goes away because if you go to the roof of a house and you look out, my friend, he says, yeah, I got waterfront. I can see the waterfront if I climb up on the roof.
My living window.
There we go.
How should I say, the concern is about the
Possibility of
application of the view preservation law?
yeah. Implication of view preservation conflict. Something wording like that.
Okay.
You know, was there a reason for the addition of the local historical architectural significance? It seems arbitrary to me that has anything to do.
You want to put a limit on it.
It's just that's just an additional way to limit it.
Pardon?
Okay.
Yeah, it was a way of limiting it to keep it from anybody coming and saying, yeah.
All right.
And it's also, generally, you wouldn't want to allow something to go higher than it's supposed to. There'd have to be a good reason, and the good reason might be you've got this building you really want to preserve.
I can't think of another building. Yeah, like I said.
Oh, well, I think that's an important part, potentially, in that it's to, it doesn't say anything about in order to preserve those architectural
Well, it's not preserving them, actually.
Well,
That's not the intent. They're not, the architectural feature is the
They're
dome.
removing
The
the
domes
dome.
are going.
It's an architectural feature. As far as I'm concerned, that dome is the ugliest thing.
Well, then that argument
You
makes
don't
no
like the
sense.
domes?
I don't like the dome. That black thing sitting up there.
I'm sure there are plenty of architects who'll disagree with you. Okay, then, okay, I've got that one. Then on number 6, on the parking, rather than try to come up with parking requirements for hotels or parking, and then you've got the restaurant, you got the ballroom, how do you calculate that? So I thought the better way to do it was to say that the applicant has to provide a parking demand study, from one of these companies, or one of these associations, or existing conditions data from similar operations in the Hudson Valley region, and the planning board shall determine the required number of parking spaces based on this analysis. It's real hard to decide in the
In the
abstract.
petition, not necessarily in the code change, but they discussed shared parking. In other words, it may not be enough if you add all the uses all at once, but all the uses are not all at once,
Right, you can imagine if there's an evening event, people can park in the train lot.
Yeah, or people are staying at the hotel and then they're going to the, wedding there.
But then people who come to the hotel are likely arriving.
Yeah, but that's why rather than have any fixed amounts, it's better to have a parking study.
Do they show parking on the back, 2-level parking? Is there any discussion of how many spots that is? Or
Yeah,
no?
it
might be
it's
in
in
there.
it's in the beginning of somewhere in the petition. How many? There were a lot of parking spaces.
It's a lot of double parking.
162
Yeah, I saw
or
that.
something.
It's
Well,
70
imagine.
I think it's 70 or 80 plus, and then there's a lot of
Yeah,
doubles.
and then
People who are working there, you need parking for them. They can't park in this.
That's why I think, Mary, having a professional fade is probably more appropriate than
Yeah.
trying to guess something that may or may not.
No, there's a formula for hotels, I'm sure, and for event spaces.
Yeah, but there's a lot of variables here
Yeah.
too, because you're right next to a train station. You're right next to a parking lot that has spaces available on weekends. So anyway, you're gonna want to study of that.
In terms of parking, I seem to recall there's an existing code that prohibits structural parking structures. There's a parking structure that's going to be
Is it a
part of
parking structure or is it underground parking?
No, it's not underground. It's a structure, but they kind of hide it behind the dome, like a domed window, and whatever businesses are down there are gone beyond Red Barn because that's where the parking is.
So is there a conflict with the existing code of No parking structures.
I don't know, is there a-
Look at the latest proposal. Still a long conversation about it when we met with them.
I mean, the way they're doing it is
We don't allow, we
tasteful,
don't,
but
we don't
it
allow
is-
elevated parking garages are different.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the change, you got the petition, take a look at it, and see, because if that's a change that has to be made, they'll wanna make that change.
Well, it has
too.
to be clarified.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I don't either. It just has to be.
Yeah,
It's
I
just-
didn't,
I don't want to get into a situation where somebody says, well, the existing code doesn't allow that.
It's a situation where they're saying, well, it's below the grade from the front. It's actually underground.
I thought that would.
All right. And then after a new thing that you would permit stacked parking, it's, oh, maybe this is it. Stacked parking is permitted in a hotel provided that the parking is within a structure that's not located in a front yard. Any such stacked parking shall be adequately staffed with trained individuals whenever same is operated and utilized. That particular section we asked AKRF to look at.
Stacked is stacked to mean the elevate, the
It's, oh,
elevated.
here, it's a lift parking
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, a lot of
Right above
garages.
the,
Structure means it's entirely within a building. Or does structure mean it has to be completely within a building that can't be visible, or is it allow for theoretically?
That's the problem is this parking garage, parking structure.
Because my point being,
Back to
it's one thing to see parked cars; it's another thing to see giant lift machines and parked cars.
Well, they have
like-
it hidden.
I know they have it hidden, but I'm talking about the zoning code.
You have to worry about the zoning code
Right.
in the
Right.
future.
So-
Someone's supposed to lift in the back of their house outside.
Yeah.
That could be a problem.
But, yeah.
Wait, this
This
says
is just for hotels, but
deck elevated parking structures or any variation thereof are prohibited except as permitted by 234, 36A20 above. So Ed, look at that, should I take a note?
I would just make it a comment and we'll get it.
And what, tell me exactly what the comment is.
Well, the comment would be, the use of the word structure in the proposed code. Is it meant to be structure or garage?
What's the code provision that could be problematic?
The existing code doesn't allow for elevated parking.
it's also the base of their terrace.
Yeah, well, we know it's got a roof on it, but is it,
Well, no, I'm saying
is
it's-
it open on the sides is the question.
Yeah, I mean, part of looking at this,
Is it open on the east, on the west facing elevation?
Looks like it is.
Then it's a parking structure, not a
Wow.
garage. Well, completely enclosed is a garage. If it's open,
Well,
it's a
there's-
structure.
Are they driving into it?
Well, you can drive into them.
So you're saying it's not, it's, and the existing code doesn't allow parking structures?
Doesn't allow open parking.
Well, it's not, I mean, it has these are the openings.
Are they louvers? Are they windows? Are they?
It's windows without glass and you can see cars. And that is.
So they're openings. And it's a structure, not a
They're
garage.
openings, yeah.
If they're openings, it's a structure.
That's how I see
Okay. You know, on that one, I'm gonna call Steinmetz.
Yeah. Ed, it looks like there's already building there.
That's the barn.
That's the barn. It's a one-story building.
Gonna stay.
Is it?
Well, it looks like it would have to be within that based on what they drew here, because it's level with the bottom of the building. So it looks like this is too, so it would have to be within this. footprint.
You're supposed to be looking at it as I know we're looking at it for this particular application. We're supposed to be looking at it as a zone code change.
Yeah, right.
Not a.
So the building in which the Red Barn Bakery is currently housed is remaining.
So
Looks
it's,
like it.
yep. And so the building where the Bon Boost, where the Korean restaurant
Yeah,
was.
I don't think
Gosu, that's gone.
that's.
So it is, okay.
It's what?
It was Gosu. It was a whole bunch of different things.
We go, the other restaurant.
Yeah, Korean.
Bon Busto, that's gone.
Oh, so sorry, just to come back. Structure can be open. Garage is completely enclosed.
structures can't be, open structures are not allowed in the code as of today.
Anywhere.
Anywhere in, but garages are garages, they're not, garages aren't regulated.
The building that had automotive garage, that's remaining. The old automotive garage.
What was that guy's name? What a character.
Oh, the brothers.
Yeah.
They were, right? They were brothers. We used to own them.
I forget that.
He was a good guy.
Yeah, it's a great garage.
He
Anyway,
didn't like me much.
Okay, so do you have any, issue with stacked parking?
Indoors.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what Ed said, in the district, you don't want people parking in their backyard.
Yeah, I mean, as long as say this.
Well, this says stacked parking is permitted in a hotel.
Yeah, so that's not problematic, it's not clear enough. So in a hotel, does it have parking in the backyard, elevated parking outside in the backyard? And if it's allowed there, you see what I'm saying? I think it should be more specific as long as it's housed.
It says within a structure.
Yeah.
If it's an open structure.
That was my question, was whether or not a structure can be open.
Stacked parking is permitted in a hotel, provided that the parking is within a structure that's not located in the front yard.
Use the word garage, and then you're
Change
good.
the word
Change the word
garage.
structure to garage.
Or you can say a closed structure.
Enclosed structure.
Closed structure.
So all of the parking spots are for either residents or for the hotel guests.
For every
Every
use of the
use
property.
that's there, or
Spa.
employees, or
Yeah,
employees, there's a spa
It's-
there.
Well, it's.
Plumber to
it's-
fix the
It's
sink?
not, no, it's not providing additional parking for
Oh, the
the
community.
village.
No, I wouldn't,
No,
I wouldn't see a
tight.
benefit.
Okay, and then the last one is in 8. Right now, the site capacity for the business district reads, site capacity in the business district shall be a maximum number of dwelling equal to the net buildable site area, blah, blah, blah. Okay. We add this sentence, because this doesn't work for them. Under that site capacity, that doesn't work for them, because they've got a lot of deductions because of the slopes. They've got, if you just go by straight area, they're fine, but there's a lot of slopes, so this would allow them, if the sentence were added, a site capacity determination is not required for an existing building that the Board of Trustees determines to be of local historic or architectural significance, provided that the number of dwelling units does not exceed the density factor for the business district. And that would mean that right now the density factor is $2,500, 2,500, one unit for 2,500 square feet, so it can't exceed that. So there's two numbers there. There's the density factor, and then there's what becomes a smaller number if you have to deduct resource protection. So this says that you don't have to do site. This is clearly for them.
Because they wouldn't be able to get enough rooms then.
I actually was surprised by how few they got. When you did the deduction. See, I thought they'd be okay. I said, what do you need that for? But then, yeah.
So you use a density factor for buildings where you're not increasing the cubic content, site capacity for buildings that you're increasing. So that's the difference. The code as it reads today.
And in a way, this isn't like a big deal, because usually you want to do site capacity on undeveloped land.
Yeah.
And this is already developed, it's already there.
It makes sense.
It definitely makes sense in this situation. It's, linguistically, it's a stretch, but it makes a lot of sense.
And they
It wasn't meant to be what they.
there's no requirement for portable unit because,
yeah.
Is
No,
there?
you can't say it.
Because of the hotel or because of
No,
the
because the
residents?
residences, they've
Well,
got,
maybe when
I
you're
think there's
approaching it,
When
70.
you see the loading zone, that's.
I mean, like, it's an eyesore.
It's in the front of the petition. when I say it.
Hotel rooms and 20.
Marianne?
We're 78 key hotel and 18 dwelling units. So they have to provide 2, but really more than 2, because remember that the, affordable units have to be 80% of a market rate unit. These market rate units are huge.
Yeah.
And
they
there's
are.
no way it would be affordable. So let's say they would have to maybe, they have to have at least 80% of the square footage. So maybe they have to have 5, you know, to meet it. But anyway, yes,
Got
no.
it. Okay.
No, they have to,
It's
they
the
have
same
to
as,
provide.
same as, Denardo.
Yeah.
Denardo.
Yeah.
It's required to have 4, but it's 6 because they.
Right, they kept saying, oh, we're giving more than
You're
we
not
have
giving
to.
anything.
No, you're not. You're giving exactly what you
And
need to.
would
Station.
there be a demand
This is-
for employee housing?
Yeah.
Or no, it's not something we're
I mean, this is
considering?
winter from over here. This is
That's more of
This is what?
a winter.
We're getting all
It
this.
is.
It's still being recorded.
See,
We're still in recording.
Yeah.
whatever this distance is, you don't see that.
Okay.
You don't see it, this, you don't see it.
You don't
I
see
feel that it's
You're not
very
gonna see it.
small.
No, you don't see the dome.
Well, you're,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't see the dome, and even if you remove that
Yeah,
sky,
and
that's
it
not a
was,
big deal. It's really gonna
they
be.
wanted it written. so
These
the
two
board wanted
conversations
it-
aren't going to be able to be recorded.
Oh,
Having two separate conversations doesn't help with the transcriber.
The board wanted it written so that it couldn't apply too generally just to this thing, but they had, Zarin and Simons had proposed something that was really, really awkward, I thought, and I wasn't happy with it. The board wasn't happy with it. So that these amendments seem to do the same thing and fit into our code better and easier for everybody to understand what the differences are from what's required now.
Okay.
Any other comments? So do you want me to,
I was just gonna say, could you draft something up and send it to all of us?
right,
We'll say, yeah, fine, looks good, or not.
I'll do that.
Do I have to sign that, as the chairman?
It can come from you on behalf of the planning board, yeah,
But it could come from you too.
however you want.
They asked the planning board, so I guess the planning board should respond.
Yeah, let it come from you, but I'll get something in the next couple of days.
All right, so we beat the February 6th deadline.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'll be glad about that. Yeah, the board's eager to move on this, yeah.
And we're done? All right, the planning board meeting on January 7th is closed.
There, you have to go home now.
These puppies are waiting.
So,
I got one to show you something.
Thank you.
I don't,